Wiwa.
I took the handle, then I saw it all. What's in the bank? Give me famous before I knock it off. I'm on the drink, get full of dang, ready to break the law. I see the funds, I see you on, cause I want it all. So fucking scared, you talking about run it on me. We don't care, we like a lot of standing.
This song makes me very, very excited.
I see you on, cause I want it all. Fucking you blasting me, watch you slide on that fucking watch you slide.
What's your favorite hype song? Eurasia Stream in the house.
Nationwide CDs and hoes from the main. Most of my niggas, they bad and clean. Cheapin' a quarter pound of skunk. Broke rappers on the ship while I be slanging out the trunk. I'm out here making a living, I'm making a killing for the billboard. And this I'm heavy, both behind me, ballin' Rolls Royce. 1995, bitch, stacking the grip for the ship. Entering a liquor store, purchasing a fucking film. This nigga heading down a Houston Club Oasis. Different races, I met a bunch of faces. My pivot is getting strong, I'm keeping my tone. For you later, haters, beat my bitches to the floor. Making shit get greater later.
Welcome, 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 Europeans, Africans, Asians, and Australians. Today we're starting out early. Special greetings to my Eastern boys.
Поднялся как доллар, но упадал как рубль. Меня потеряет ночь, а свет. Нам будет хорошо всегда там, где нас нет. Здесь и сейчас, хватаю все и сразу. Мы летим с ней мимо многоэтажек. Мы как вересты, спить день. Так торопились стать теми, кто есть. Терпели боль.
Imagine being in the Western Hemisphere. Yes, I confirm, as this is very based. Чувствую себя счастливым. Welcome chatters, welcome chatters, welcome chatters to the first of its kind. We are doing a little bit of quote-unquote experimentation. It is very early for some of you. It is normal time for some others. I spoke to Toasty Android and we were like, okay, let's try out an early stream for the Africans, for the Europeans, for the Asians, though the Far East Asians are always kind of fucked. I don't think those guys can watch any streams at a normal time because of time zones. Australians, to an extent, can potentially participate. I mean, Toasty gave me the pitch on why to do it from many different perspectives, like a different audience. So we might, we'll be alone. Not a lot of other people are streaming and so on. And I was like, all sounds like corporate mumbo jumbo bullshit to me. But then Toasty said it's going to increase the chances of less Americans in chat. And I was like, okay, why didn't you say that from the get-go? I am so fucking doing it. Jokes aside, very nice to see all you early bird Yanks in here as well. Some of you probably at work, some of you probably in school. But I am extremely privileged and extremely thankful that you spend those moments still with my voice in your ear, talking about different shit. Today we are going to be doing, shitpost Wednesday, a bunch of cultural stuff. I have some great videos lined up. One of them is even from Freda, dear friend of the show. So I think this is going to be a grand old time. But how are you motherfuckers doing? All the OGs are in here. Red Phil, Sneaky Tricky, Cuphead. What's up, Cuphead? Haven't seen you in a second. Draining Glazer. Have you reacted to Hassan platforming a Zionist? I talked about it yesterday. Juan Guaido Twitch, what's up? Before we start, I thank you Mig Magmog, the fucking OG, for the subscription. Today's Today's daily sub goal will pretty much be a representation on whether non-Americans are more based than Americans, which is obviously, as like everything in capitalism, counted through the spending of money. So I encourage Eurasians, Africans, and Australians to put the Americans where their place is by subscribing throughout today's lovely experience. Love the early stream. I'm very glad you do, my friend. I have the stream on silent, so I'm just inventing what Hugo is saying. I mean, that way the stream probably sounds a lot smarter than it would if you actually listen to me yap. Here you go. How's it going, my man? Hope you're doing well. I'm doing great. I hope you are doing well as well, my dear friend. Hope you are doing well as well. Now, what should we do on this fine morning, evening / afternoon? We shall watch some videos, react to them, have a grand old motherfucking time. French person jump scare. We are not starting out with you. We are, though, going to be talking about the Roblox pedo problem. I have no idea what this is about. It popped up on my feed, and I was like, Roblox? Pedophiles? In one sentence? I am clicking that. I am watching that. We're also going to watch the new Freda video. Elon Musk listens to What If Old Hist. What If Old Hist? Incredibly deranged. Elon Musk, incredibly deranged. Dude, both of them lend themselves to great Marxian critique. They absolutely do. And it's also Freda. Okay, it's all we get to listen to his incredibly sexy voice. So I think all of that is a lovely combination. Then we have the internet keeps getting worse. Let's talk about why. I believe it's because it is the internet, okay? The world's greatest mistake. Then we have Saji Sharma with conservatives are indoctrinating our children and the disturbing rise of child-free zones. Now, I want to start out very democratically because now it's not so many Americans. So, I do not care about what Americans have to say. Oh, Jesus, I'm overdoing this. I feel bad almost. But I want a poll. Mods, I want a poll where you ask Roblox pedos, Elon Musk what if old hist, or internet dying. Those three, tell me what you want the first video to be. If there's a way for them to vote with channel points, that would be really cool because I'm trying to find ways for you guys to actually spend that shit. We do apartheid against Americans here. So mods, please do that and everybody vote. Have you checked the Roblox site economy and the child work that goes in there? Yeah, pretty unhinged stuff. Pretty unhinged stuff. But then again, let the kids develop an idea of being able to work for work's sake and for the beauty that your labor can produce in different forms of Roblox maps and so on, instead of for money. I think it contributes. Like unpaid child labor in digital environments through the form of mods or even in-game design can teach you quite a lot about how monetary satisfaction and satisfaction from labor are not always interlinked. Holy, you're early. Read the title. Eurasians only today, baby, and Africans, and of course the Aussies, which do not exist realistically. So I'm talking about ghosts here because I refuse to accept that a place called Australia exists down under. What does down under even mean? Keep shitting on us on Americans, we can take it. I mean, look at the president we have. I mean, sometimes you guys, like, I feel like you enjoy it. You enjoy it to some extent. You enjoy it, don't you? Okay, prediction started. What's the predict? No, what predict? Okay, so there's a poll and there's also a prediction. So for now, we have most people saying what if old hissed. And then in the prediction, you can spend your channel points. Poll ended. What if old hissed is won. And nobody voted on the thing. There you go. No gamba. We are very legitimate people here. Very legitimate people here. Nobody gambles. Gamble equals bad. Okay, immediately starting it out strong because I hear Freda's voice. Okay, let me caption this beauty. Let me put this in full screen. We are watching Elon Musk listens to What If Old Hissed. I never thought this kind of combination could exist. But then again, are we surprised that a person who thinks he is God because he has done LSD listens to another guy who thinks he is God because he's done LSD? These are the same person, and they're the same level of like bottom feeding, bottom feeding quasi intellectuals that think that they are superior just because. They spend a few more years in their mother's huge basement than anyone else. So there's no real surprise from the fact that the two of them are talking. So not the talking, that one of them watches the other. It's like, what if old hissed is Elon Musk if he didn't have $1 billion? Like, you do know that if Elon Musk did not have $1 billion, he would be making YouTube video essays about how being centrist is actually the most logical and advanced political perspective that one might have, okay? That's true. It's absolutely true. And can you see it? Can you see it? And probably Elon would do pretty well on YouTube because of his weird-ass fucking accent. I don't know. You have a weird accent and everybody listens to you. I, for example, don't. That's why nobody listens to me except you lovely people. I'm kidding. Plenty of people listen to me, which I hate, which means that I'm supposed to say things, which then confuses me eternally. Now, let's start this thing out. Pour your favorite spicy or non-spicy drink, and let's get right into this. Thank you, Red Phil, for being the true OG of all OGs with the 19-monther. Reminder to everyone to subscribe, especially today. Reminder to the Europeans, Asians, Africans, and Australians, because today you show whether streaming early makes any fucking sense to me. That's number one. And more importantly, today you show if you are truly superior to the Americans, or at least to those living in the far Western Hemisphere. With that being said, thank you, Red Phil, for the sub, and let's get right into today's show.
Ago, someone sent me the ramblings of a madman, which I watched on the bus, and then subsequently recorded a low-effort video about. That madman was What If Old Hissed. Over the years, you've seen me talk about all kinds of insane stuff that he said. We laugh, we find him funny, and maybe sometimes endearing. He's just a guy saying stuff on the internet. Sometimes what he says could be dangerous, but realistically, his words won't have that much of an influence on the world. He's just...
One could even argue that somebody that defines themselves as apolitical or quote-unquote centrist and produces a lot of content has a much better ability, a much greater ability to radicalize people towards right-wing talking points than someone who like openly states that they love Zeke Heiling and shooting fellow citizens with additional melanin, right? This is the right-wing pipeline, let's call it that. Left-wing politics is just like left hemisphere brain and left-handed magic, and it is a religion. I was taught this, but by What If Old Hissed. I'm a proud priest in this religion, my friend. I'm a proud priest.
The YouTuber, right? Calling people like him dangerous is an overreaction.
Can we figure out a time zone where we leave out Australia? Don't worry, I have to sleep soon. I mean, I wouldn't even call Australia hate unwarranted because you would need to exist in order to be hated, okay? I am Australia phobic. I simply deny their existence. You know how people deny trans people's existence and that is super fucked up? Well, there is another identity that you can deny because it truly does not exist, and that is the Australian identity, okay? I am truly, truly, deeply Australia phobic. What about us in New Zealand? Do we exist? New Zealand is super based. Yes. Australia is a conspiracy to make people forget about just how beautiful New Zealand is, so that everybody focuses on Australia instead and forgets about New Zealand. It's the same reason they invented Croatia, so that people forget about just how beautiful the Bosnian seaside is, right? There's some countries that are real and beautiful, and there's other countries that are invented just so that we ignore the OG countries. This is True Dialectical Materialism. Welcome to Ugopnik Twitch. Let's get it started.
Action, right? In 2024, What of Altis started a history podcast called History 102. In late 2024, What of Altis released a 10-hour-long 3-part video where he, among other things, said he communes with the spirit world and that Odin spoke to him. I can't tell you what Odin told him to do because it might get me demonetized.
I am Rudyard William Lynch, the man who killed a god.
A couple of months after that, on April 18th, 2025,
This is why I unironically think we should forbid white dudes from doing LSD or shrooms.
the
Okay? This is what we get.
richest man in the world, who at the time had the ear of the President of the United States of America, shared an episode of What of Altist's history podcast.
like somebody needs to unironically do a poll on and compare just how many incredibly enlightened people we got that did psychedelics, experienced some, opening of chakras, and truly came to conclusions that humanity had not come to before. Probably there's a lot of them, right? Like, psychedelics really not my thing. But there's probably a lot of people that did some incredible stuff, wrote some incredible stuff, thought up some incredible stuff through that type of substance abuse. But I want to compare just how much good was invented, created, and thought of on psychedelics, and just how much incredible, disgusting, pathetic cringe was also developed on psychedelics. You cannot tell me you do not know 100 fucking dudes that tried shrooms once and made it their entire fucking personality. Okay? And their negative contribution to society might balance out the positive contribution of people who did some cool shit after they tried shrooms. Okay, what I'm trying to do is try and find a kind of scale which can measure whether the cringe produced by basic dudes doing shrooms and then becoming incredibly even more basic but thinking that they are super metaphysical and complex, that the harm that has done versus the positives that have been done by more chill and smarter people on said shrooms. Okay, I come up with the most genius, mind-blowing things in psychedelics, but I always forget them. Have someone next to you writing everything down. But yeah, that's the meme with psychedelics, isn't it? Like it puts whatever type of person you are into overdrive to an extent the same like alcohol. So if you do carry a lot of wisdom in you, if you do carry a lot of information, if you do have a rather complex understanding of the world, and you do psychedelics, then it makes you explore those even deeper. If you're lucky. If not, you just see some colors and whatever. But if you're super fucking basic and you take them, you remain basic, but you think you're no longer basic because you did LSD or shrooms. Right? I hope you get my point. So if you're based, it makes you a little bit more based. If you're not based, it doesn't make you... It makes you equally cringe, but it makes you think you're based. If you're really unlucky, you get psychosis, yeah, and you ruin your entire life. Don't do drugs, kids, blah, 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 the whole TSA. Colors are dope, though. You would know. Pretty sure he made a video on his channel about is colonialism bad, and in it he just took the classic liberal centrist view. Yeah, dude, this guy is a eternal fucking classic. And he's Freda's favorite, so he's my favorite.
podcast. On May 12th, 2025, he shared the podcast.
By the way, Freda also streams. He plays games. Can we plug Freda, the maker of this? He's also on Twitch. Everybody give Freda a follow. He's still small, so every single follow would actually really boost his algo. So please give Freda a follow.
Again, calling it a, quote, excellent history show. On June 14th, 2025, Elon Musk started following What a Voltist on Twitter. The world's richest man gets his history from What a Voltist.
And now we're a society where if a handful of
Oh my god, I love this fucking universe. The world's richest man gets his motherfucking information on how society functions from a dude that thinks that he killed Odin. Or talked to Odin, or I don't know who he killed. I think he killed Odin.
kids jump off a cliff out of boredom, we're like, oh my God, we needed to intervene to stop them. Like, no, the kids are just stupid. Black people are not indigenous to South Africa. They're the African National Congress, which are basically a communist party, very clearly wanting to take the whites' land. You could die tomorrow. You could die for reasons completely outside of your control. Hi, everybody. Super happy to have you folks here again for another episode of History 102. And hi, Austin. How are you?
Hello, I'm fantastic.
And hi, Austin. How are you?
Hello, I'm
Oh my god, all the red flags are incredible. AI generated Rick and Morty. Some libertarian tied in with giving white supremacist vibes symbolism. And unfortunately, I cannot read what kind of books. Moral choices. I needed to read a book on moral choices to know what morality is. Hoorah-ree-rah. Ooh-ah. What's up, Injong? I'm doing great. I hope you're doing well as well. My phone died just as it got to my door. He is ex-chairman of Lib Party or something like that. Oh, I love it. I love it.
fantastic.
First, I want to thank Incogni for sponsoring this video. Longtime viewers of the channel may have heard me talk about this before because I've been using Incogni for over a year. Everything you do on the internet is tracked and logged, and
Ethical reacts for Freda. I am not skipping ads for Freda, but to make sure you watch ads, I will do something silly in the background, which is nothing.
everything that's tracked and logged can be sold for profit. People looking to profit off of your personal information don't have your best interest in mind. For example, an insurance company could offer you higher rates based on information collected on you and sold to the insurance company by a third-party information broker. Many countries around the world, including the United States and the EU, have data protection regulations in place putting you in charge of your data, letting you tell a company that they can't store your information. Problem is, there's thousands of these companies out there continuously collecting your data, and you'd have to contact each and every one of them to tell them to stop. That's where Incogni comes in. You tell Incogni what information you want removed, and then Incogni sends a lawful request on your behalf to have that information suppressed or removed
FML, when your cigarettes literally have the Russian imperial symbol on it, and you're like, is this controversial?
from these companies' databases. While Incogni informs companies to stop collecting your data, they can't preemptively get every company on Earth, so Incogni provides continuous protection, sending out constant requests to have your data removed. I get a report from Incogni every month on the data they've removed. Here's my most recent privacy report showing that Incogni sent 151 removal requests on my behalf in the past 4 weeks, and 143 of them have been fulfilled by the data broker. 8 of them are awaiting the broker's reply. According to Incogni, if I had filed all of these requests manually with the brokers, the process would have taken me approximately 107 hours. Instead, it took me about 2 minutes over a year ago. If Incogni interests you, be sure to use my discount code FREDA at the link in the description for 60% off the annual plan. That's my name in all capital letters at the link below, or go to incogni.com/FREDA. Before we
There you go. Try to be entertaining while the ads were playing by lighting a fire. That show on Apple TV about dudes lighting fires, literally 10 out of 10. Fucking incredible show.
really get going, I need to introduce you to our new character here, Rudyard's co-host Austin Paget. He's a staunch libertarian, as you might be able to tell from the stylized torch in the background or the Rick and Morty painting. He works in the agricultural technology sector, but used to be employed
Smoke, yes, Malteser, and what's up, my friend?
as fundraising director for the National Libertarian Party of the United States. At the time, his partner was chair of the very same party, and there's a lawsuit that accuses her of self-dealing by hiring her partner Austin Paget. He was paid a sum of $12,000 as fundraising director. I'm going to read his partner's comments on the matter because it's probably the funniest way you could possibly respond to being sued for self-dealing, skimming party funds, and other forms of impropriety. Quote,
Dude, that's the most libertarian thing I've ever heard. You make a libertarian party, then you make people donate to the libertarian party, and then you funnel money out of the libertarian party by giving a salary to your partner. I mean, I wouldn't even complain if I was a libertarian. Like, that's fucking playing the market like a king. I genuinely, you cannot actually report someone like this to the police if you're a libertarian, because they did nothing wrong inside of the free market. The only reason self-dealing is illegal is because the authoritarian state is breathing down our necks with these goddamn regulations. I love libertarians who are like, dude, without regulations, everything would be awesome. So they start a party that has no regulations and they get all their money stolen.
have you ever played Dungeons & Dragons? Imagine sitting down to play Dungeons & Dragons with a group of people and a few of the players are new and don't know how to play the game. They begin to squabble with the Dungeon Master, and so someone calls a timeout and decides to put together a rules committee to explain how to play the game. Gradually, the real game is abandoned, and the singular focus becomes the rules committee. Each weekend, the players gather together to play the rules instead of the game. That is the crux of this litigation. She has since resigned as chair of the Libertarian Party. If you look this guy up, you'll find him connected to the Mises Institute and so on. All the regular libertarian stuff. The focus of this video will be What If Autist's African Colonialism episode because it's the one Elon Musk endorsed on Twitter. What If Autist discusses South Africa in this episode, and Elon Musk is South African. Elon Musk may be responsible for Trump's brief hyperfixation with the idea that there was a white genocide occurring in South Africa. This was, of course, prior to Musk and Trump's messy breakup, where Musk alleged Trump was on the Epstein list. A lot of things have happened recently. In the video, it takes about a minute before he starts talking about some business school psychology stuff, and he shows immense restraint in how it takes a full 1 minute and
55 business school psychology? I learned this shit. Okay, let's see.
55 seconds before he starts talking about how the left are driven entirely by emotion.
Certain parts of politics today are more elephant, they're more rider. The left is completely controlled by their elephant. The rider just passed out for the left. They openly say that whatever they rationalize, they're just rationalizing random subjective crap.
This isn't
the one ideology that refuses subjective perspective and unironically believes that everything comes from material conditions is very subjective. Literally the ideology that to an extent can be interpreted so radically as to presuppose that there is no true individuality, but we are simply atoms bouncing off of other atoms, and when extrapolated on a societal basis, we simply become who we are because we happen to find ourselves in a particular environment day in and day out, which crafts us to be who we are, etc., etc. Therefore, creating a mechanism through which we can objectively view how a person becomes that particular person, like an incredible social scientific feat. Those are the people they call subjective. The people that are unironically like, I feel like my race is superior and yours isn't. I feel like race exists. Now I'm going to kill 100,000 people. That is the ideology, talking about the subjective nature of leftist thought. Oh Lord.
Entirely out of place in the episode. It links to his thesis, that is the larger point he's trying to get across.
But
yeah, to them history just happened because of vibes. Exactly, Brian.
I find with African colonialism, there's just this horrific degree of just emotion the second you touch it. And I don't really get why. Because
no, we have not just African colonialism, any colonialism. We have developed very specific analytical structures through which we view the extraction of both surplus labor value and resources by one state or one union of states or one corporation over a particular piece of land, and we explore the way in which again one state can enslave economically or sometimes very literally another state in order to enrich itself. That's how we analyze it. And then, of course, we mention that violence is used as a means to extract said different types of surplus value from particular places, because that's the, to a point, cheapest way to do it. There's literally zero emotion involved. Like when we say we don't give it like more, like we give it, we throw moral platitudes at it because we're human, because we're like, oh my God, fucking enslaving motherfuckers are like coming in and being Nestle and just sucking out all the fucking water and then putting it in plastic bottles and sending it everywhere else and somewhere else. We're still, individual normal human beings, and we're like, that is fucked up. But additionally, as Marxists, we say that is fucked up, but this is why it happens. And this is why it replicates continuously. Like our first reaction to settler colonialism, or to colonialism or colonial extraction, etc., is one of pure fucking raw, humanless, robotic analysis. That's why we are materialists, right? After that, yeah, we add some, moral platitudes to it because we're human and we have moral platitudes. But the Marxian analysis is always based on, what is this doing materially for Britain, and what is this doing materially for Nigeria? So unironically, Marxists are the most cold-blooded motherfuckers when it comes to analyzing colonial structures. It is right-wingers that apply some emotional mumbo-jumbo about how they are civilizing, or how they developed their way of life, or how they build them some railroads, and therefore they should be grateful. These are all arguments just coming out of their ass, like based on emotions, because they don't want to feel bad for a second that, I don't know, some great-great-grandpa of theirs did something fucked up down in Africa. It's 100% emotion-based. 1,000% emotion-based.
Wonderful. A new child soldier. Subscriber.
The most funny thing is when a libertarian says, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, and then you have to explain that anarchism is deeply against hierarchy, while capitalism is the opposite. Yeah, dude, they don't have the mental capacity for it. Thank you very much, Princess Axe Wound, for the 10 months, contributing to today's dominance of the Eurasian, African, and Australian front against Americans. To remind you, every subscription today just proves that you're better than Americans. Thank you very much, even if you're American. What's up, Lesbian Hot Sauce? You want to be part of my master's thesis in social anthropology? It's presumably about information, political movements, and digital content creators. Might need a interlocutor for my study. What is an interlocutor, my friend? Am I like a guy that helps you? I would love to read your shit and maybe criticize it or something, or tell you that you're based and it's smart. But like to actually guide you through everything, I would love to, but I genuinely do not have the time. Someone who talks to you? Yeah, you can talk to me. I'm glad you're streaming early today, though I'm in LA. Oh my God, you're so fucked. Gives me something to do at work. Well, enjoy it, my friend. You're already at work? That's insane. Isn't it 5 a.m. in LA? Holy shit. We got a real worker here. Holy fuck. Thank you, Sean Shank. That's all an interlocutor is? Someone who talks to you. Okay, that's fine. The argument of civilizing the backwards world never made sense to me. We westernize part of the world, but have a weird other side where we want somewhere exotic, but they also need want to be somewhere exotic, but also need a McDonald's. It makes the argument that the so-called uncivilized can be civilized is a non-materialist argument. It's literally just feelings. I feel that I'm civilized. And a culture that is different, not worse, not bad, but simply because it is different, I define as uncivilized. And me applying our way of life and our culture to theirs and making them more like us, I have to believe is me helping them, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to go to bed at night, right? It's completely emotion-based. And it's also completely like insanely subjective, right? Ooh, we like living in brown houses and they like living in white houses. How barbaric. Let's burn down all their fucking houses and then make them use our bricks to make houses that are the same color as ours because our culture is superior. That is the so-called process of civilizing the uncivilized. It is simply deeming what is different to be wrong. And it's completely emotion-based. You can't do like a social scientific analysis of this. There's no way for you to prove that a subjective way of life defined as a culture can be better or worse than your own. Oh, they eat shrimp and we eat steak. They're so barbaric because they eat fish stuff. Like that's all what it always is. And a video that's coming out soon, the history of all the history of all slurs ever, almost. Literally, I'm going through the history of almost all slurs ever while Mao is editing it right now. You will see a pattern, for example, exactly with food, with the so-called civilized going to a particular country, seeing how they eat and what they eat, then calling them, obviously I'm not going to say a slur here on Twitch, but calling them something munchers or something eaters, and it's usually the main food, the food staple that the locals of the place that they are going over to imperialize consume on the regular basis. You know what happens after one generation? They try the food, and the food turns out to be amazing, and then they bring it back home, and they pretend that it was theirs all along. Look at Israel, look at Great Britain, etc., right? I'm just using food as a very blatant, very basic example of civilized versus uncivilized. Look, your dishes smell weird, and they got all the nasty spices in them. What the fuck? Tries it. Holy shit, this is amazing. But yesterday you were hanging people for eating it, or you were putting them in schools where the teachers were telling them that eating food with these particular spices makes you uncivilized. A truly civilized man only puts salt on his food. Stuff like this. To finalize the thesis, civilized and uncivilized are subjective connotations. They are based in no material reality. They are 100% feelings, just like most right-wing bullshit. Meanwhile, the civilized is becoming uncivilized. See the barbarism of Israel, civilized, for example. Yeah.
As if you're European or American, this is something that has very little downstream historic effects on you.
This, of course, is why the French military only 4 days ago, as of recording, ended its permanent military presence in Senegal. Again, 4 days ago.
Ads play in exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds. They would play if we had them, but we don't have them because we are uncivilized. If you would like to continue being uncivilized for $6 a month or for free through Prime, or by gifting to those less privileged than you, you can continue being uncivilized or create other uncivilized human beings that refuse to watch ads while supporting this based, uncivilized show coming to you from the most uncivilized place on planet Earth, according to a lot of people, the good old Balkans.
What he means to say by this is that colonial empires in Africa shouldn't concern us in the West because in the long term it didn't really benefit us much. He intends to argue that wealth in the West did not come from colonial plunder, and that wealth disparity between the global North and the global South is not a result of colonialism. We're going to talk more about why this is silly as we get deeper into the video. But as we spiral down into...
I'm not going to even address this. This is, yeah, I mean, should I?
What of Altist's very interesting mind, remember the sort of argument he's trying to present and what he's trying to convince you of.
And my attitude here is like, I don't care. I'm just going to tell you the truth, because the more you dance around it, the more people see weakness and they try to attack you.
They start off talking about the Belgian Congo, which is a slight misnomer because in the period discussed, the entire country was the property of a corporation, of which King Leopold II was CEO. Quoting Lorenzo...
Literally. Thank you very much, Stevie, for joining the Uncivilized. It is a pleasure to have you, Broccolini.
Vercini from
Stevie Broccolini is a fucking great name.
Colonialism a Global History. Quote, he had begun his private imperialism in 1876, when he established a public corporation, proclaimed himself CEO, and promised international access. He thus imagined an inclusive type of colonialism, and his employees came indeed from many European countries. The corporate entity
The unironic first libertarian society.
he controlled had been awarded the
Also, don't you love it how when you say that you like socialism, they get to tell you go live in the DPRK, but you don't get to tell them go live in Zimbabwe? Or go live in Ethiopia. Again, nothing wrong with Zimbabwe or Ethiopia, but like those are also capitalist states. There you go, please. If you're going to use one very, very niche example of a socialist experiment and tell me that I need to go live there if I believe in socialism, then you should follow through on your logic and do the same.
territory in 1885.
If capitalism is given so much wealth to the entire world, then there should be no corner around the capitalist planet where life isn't phenomenal under the boot of the free market. I'm sorry, under the feather of the free market. Then they say African bad because corruption or because inequality. Yeah, absolutely. And they just do racist shit. They literally do, the fucking Africans can't do capitalism because they're black. Like, that's literally what they just do. It's immediately where they go, 100% of the time. If you follow through on their reasoning, 100% of the time. But that's not capitalism. How is it not capitalism? Because they corrupted it. Why did they corrupt it? Because their culture is different. Why is their culture different? Because they're black. It's always you cannot really be a believer in let's call it the idea that capitalism will eventually uplift everyone without inherently being bigoted towards ethnicities or places where capitalism has not worked out really well. Because if you believe that if everyone follows the handbook of capitalism, they will all live in incredible wealth, and there are places that do not live in incredible wealth, then that implies that there has to be something wrong with them, and therefore you do believe in the difference between peoples based on their genetic code, and therefore you are a eugenicist fucking racist cunt. There we go. It's because your ideology is based on mumbo jumbo. You always have to go back to mumbo jumbo, explaining the inadequacies of said ideology.
Leopold's corporation was to undertake a mission to end slavery. In essence, this was what would be considered today a humanitarian NGO. Quote, where a corporate endeavor led by the Belgian King Leopold at the end of the 19th century was ostensibly aimed at terminating slavery in the region, in that instance, a veritable genocide was carried out in the name of abolishing slavery.
A good example of that is even the Leopold narrative. It's a popular example of some of the most horrifying abuses of colonialism.
Why do they always look like this? I know it's absurd because I'm hiding my face behind a mask, but I can promise you I do not look like this.
With the Belgian
Jesus Christ.
Leopold's occupation of the Congo. But I had someone tell me the other day that apparently the rate of hands getting chopped off, which is seen as pretty emblematic of Leopold's terror, decreased drastically after Leopold took over because the Arab slave trade was no longer in charge.
It's pretty
Oh my god. Thank you, Figgy, you fucking legend. What's up? Thank you, Figgy.
shocking to make such a claim and source it to, quote, somebody told me the other day. That is completely insane. A lot of energy spent on equating the Arab and European slave trades, so as to present a more rosy view of European colonialism or to portray it as not strictly a European phenomenon. Later in the podcast, at the 22-minute mark, they talk about Arab empires having conducted their own sort of colonialism in Africa prior to European arrival. It's important to note that empire building and colonialism are not inherently the same. The Arab slave trade was different to the European one. Quote, in the Islamic tradition, slavery was perceived as a means of converting non-Muslims. End of quote. It was also very limited in scale. Quote, the export trade was relatively modest for many centuries before the 15th century, and indeed did not really expand considerably until the 19th century. Exports amounted to a few thousand slaves per year at most times. There were also clearly delineated legal processes towards emancipation for slaves in the Islamic world. Europeans transformed the existing slave trade into something altogether different in scale and purpose. The total volume of the Atlantic slave trade after European arrival surpassed 12.8 million people trafficked. The old African system of slavery, whereby people could be made dependents through war, debt, and so on, was pushed away in favor of exporting slaves into the European slave market. This transformation also made slavery and slaves far more common.
Because there was literally more material incentive to sell slaves to white Europeans than anywhere else. And also the white Europeans could do it at such a grand scale because of their stage of pre-industrial development, which allowed them the logistics of transporting slaves to another continent that now needed so much manpower in order to be developed, which then fed into their need to have more slaves, which then fed into them getting more slaves, reaching up to 13 million, right? And this is a very easy conversation to have with literally absolutely everyone, except people that feel a very strange internal need to defend the particular slavery that white people did, which is obviously what white racists do, right? Like, we can absolutely have a conversation about how in almost every society on planet Earth there was slavery, indentured servitude, blah, 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 all of this, and it is an absolutely adequate analysis of those eras, those times, etc., etc. And most people of most culture are like, yeah, that happened and that was fucked up, but white supremacists cannot accept the premise that that was fucked up because it paints them as some sort of a malignant entity, and more importantly, it paints them as an entity which, quote unquote, did the same bad stuff as the barbarians did, which we cannot accept.
In African society than they previously had been. European slavery, distinctly from Islamic slavery, transformed slavery from a, quote, marginal feature of society to an important institution.
This is how dedicated I am for this job. I read statistics that 8 million people died in Leopold's atrocities in the Congo. And I read other stats that the Congo's total population was 11 million at the time. And I was looking at that and I thought, that doesn't add up. It doesn't add up that Leopold's killed 3/4 of the Congo's population. So I studied more, and then I realized those numbers were completely falsified by a leftist academic.
He never says who this supposed leftist academic is. It's very convenient to be able to just point to a communist boogeyman in academia spinning falsehoods whenever something doesn't fit your narrative.
And the way I heard it was he was basically trying to make the colony work, and he was trying to be more European about it, and he was failing.
The Irish practiced slavery before we became slaves, and yes, that was bad, but why does that distract from the conversation about colonialism? Because it's a sleight of hand to move the focus away from Europeans who benefit from colonialism to this day. It absolutely is. Dude, this is like somebody catches you doing a murder, and you're like, but there's other people who have done murders. This is that simple. We don't need to go into conversation on whether Arabs murdered as many people as Europeans, or if Irish murdered as many as the Brits. No, the argument by itself is unfalsifiable. It's absurd. It's you caught me raping, but there's other people raping. But what? Like, do I need to explain what this is absolutely fucking insane? What the fuck kind of a point is that? What kind of a fucking point is that? Of course, here they historicize it by quote unquote saying, oh, it was just normal at that time. Type shit, you know? Which then ignores the many privileges bestowed upon the civilizations, quote unquote, built on slavery, from having to even just acknowledge it. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. Just acknowledging it. It's. Oh. Thank you for streaming in Asian-friendly hours. Oh, of course. Support the stream. Subscribe, gift subs, and make me stream more at this time. Because honestly, if I can be very fucking honest, this feels fucking amazing. It's not 6-7 p.m. right now. I'm not borderline half asleep and tired. I have full energy, full capacity. This would be sick as fuck if I can do 1 or even 2 of the streams weekly. Like this would be fucking insane. But for it to be that, it's gotta be fucking financially sustainable because motherfucker got a mortgage. So yeah, just, wink wink if you know what the fuck I mean.
So he
Afro-Eurasia W and Australia if it existed.
Eventually resorted back to a lot of the status quo.
He wanted to get very wealthy. His previous plan was to buy Taiwan, and there was this huge rubber craze in Europe due to the invention of the bicycle.
Almost correct. It was due to a slightly more significant invention, electricity. Electrification of the cities and of industry and so on and so forth.
Bicikla protiv struje, brate, ono. Brate, oni su ubijali crce po Africi zbog bicikla, brate. Ovaj drugi dođe i kaže, ne, brate, zašto mi je trebala struja, jevo. Sorry, when something is very stupid, I just go off on my language.
Fourth required rubber. Watervelt His does mention the atrocities committed by this colonial corporation, but he leaves out a very important factor. The brutal resource extraction with all its horrible methods was motivated by short-term profits. Demand for rubber skyrocketed before supply could be established. Many places in the world can
Bicycle caused colonialism. Hey, all you fucking bike people that look down upon people that take public transport or people that take cars everywhere, you literally caused colonialism, okay? You're using the item which caused the death of hundreds of millions of people.
Grow rubber, but it doesn't occur in the wild in all these places. Quote, the Congo witnessed an especially rapacious colonial regime also because Leopold and his advisors knew that the rubber plantations of his competitors in Southeast Asia and elsewhere in the tropical world would become productive in only a few years. Quoting Matthew Stannard from Selling the Congo, A History of European Pro-Empire Propaganda and the Making of Belgian Imperialism. Quote, Leopold himself stashed money away to hide the extent of his Congo profits. In addition to being king, Leopold was a capitalist, doing all the things a capitalist does.
I'm not going to defend Leopold because I think ostensibly he is a horrible person.
I agree.
When you remove the leftist narrative,
Okay, but
the stuff that remains true is so deeply horrifying where Leopold actually wasn't Belgian. He was an ethnic German.
I wish I was recording my
these guys are so fucking nationality pilled. Like, what? I would unironically pay money to get into the brain of someone so enwrapped in metaphysics. Like how nice life must be to just walk around and just throw labels and stuff and like just live through them. Like D&D IRL. It's probably very fun.
Live reaction to this when I watched it the first time because this took me the fuck out. That's the most horrifying thing you could think of at that moment.
If you are a silly person, I do not want you to watch this podcast.
Sorry, man, too late.
Where it's relatively unimportant to the West's historic trajectory, but it's due to the left making a strategic calculation in the mid-20th century in America that they should work with black people to get them more political power. And then this became a religious doctrine for the left, where they're like, we must support the continent with the biggest amount of black people, even if they're not that close to our American black people.
What the fuck is he talking about? Do I factor into this American perspective? It's not about that at all. It's about the long-term effects that colonialism has had on Africa and the societies therein, and about how the institutions...
Is this what passes for an intellectual nowadays? Why the fuck did I get my diplomas? I swear to God, like, you can just go on the internet and say things. Holy fuck. They equate acknowledgement of these crimes to white guilt. Also, they love to complain that Arabs don't acknowledge their slave trade. Yes, as bad as it is, they don't understand that we are in the periphery. We are being exploited by Western imperialist powers, and we are poor and don't have shit. Yeah, absolutely. And also, Arabs do acknowledge the slave trade. These normal, good human beings amongst them, right? Like it's just
of colonialism have adapted to the modern world. There is no shortage of wealth being drained from Africa today.
American and British journalists realized what was happening. It became a huge publicity scandal. And then
who the fuck is this goofy nerd? This is the man that Elon Musk gets his information on history from. I'm not even kidding. That's the title of the video, and we had proof in the beginning. Elon Musk watches this brilliant intellectual.
And the Belgian government took the Congo away from Leopold. And this is the part people forget, that the Belgian Congo was considered the most humane colony in Africa after the loss of Leopold, because the Belgian...
What? Because there was nobody left to kill? Germany became one of the most peaceful places on planet Earth after World War II ended. Yeah, maybe because there was like 1 billion Soviet and American soldiers stationed on every fucking corner. What?
was overdid.
Okay.
Trying to be nice to the Congolese. The Congo was seen as the most humane governance in Africa.
Quoting from King Leopold's Ghost. Reports of abuses against gatherers of wild rubber in the Congo did drop off markedly after the Belgian takeover of 1908. In the following years, there was less news of villages burned or of women and children held hostage. Note he says less news. Continuing, there was no more officially sanctioned severing of...
Instead of tens of thousands of rapes, we now only do 7,000. What the fuck? What the actual helly?
hands. What lay behind this change, however, was not a kinder and gentler regime brought about by the reformers, but several other developments. One was a gradual shift from wild rubber to cultivated rubber. Another was the introduction of a new method of forcing people to work that drew...
Wait, what? Elon endorsed his podcast again recently? What, Ellie? You're telling me he did it again? Man. Oh, this was literally posted today. A video I made explaining the history of Black America. Thoughtful. Dude. The wealthiest and one of the most powerful people on planet Earth is pushing this dude. It's incredible. I love this timeline. I will kill myself. No, wait. No, I will not. I can't post this on... No, all of it is against TOS. Incredible stuff.
Much less protest from missionaries and humanitarians. Taxes. Harsh taxes forced people to work on plantations harvesting cash crops. Forced labor remained in place. After the First World War, copper, gold, and tin mining grew in the territory. It was legal for mine management to administer lashes. Quote, at the gold mines of Moto on the upper Uele River, records show that 26,579 lashes were administered in the first half of 1920 alone. That's half a year at a single mine complex. Quoting further, this figure was equal to 8 lashes per full-time African worker. Techniques for gathering forced labor for the mines were little different from those employed in Leopold's time. I'm not sure what his source is for the Belgian Congo being the most humane European colony in Africa, he didn't say, but I think it's absurd to say something of the sort without also detailing the ways in which it was still horrifying.
In a lot of ways, the Muslims were colonizing Africa before the Europeans, and the Muslims would have taken a good chunk of Africa if the Europeans weren't there, because Morocco, Oman, and especially Egypt under Muhammad Ali, they were trying to carve up Africa earlier.
Right, and people don't have...
Further, countries invaded other countries before. I mean, countries didn't exist. Peoples invaded other peoples before. That's why when we did the invasions, it's kind of okay. What is even the argument that they're trying to make? They're trying to obviously downplay the atrocities that Europeans did on the African continent by saying that like the Africans fought amongst each other sometimes, and other ethnicities moved into Africa and tried to take their own piece of land and resources. Okay, how does that deny the previous thing? No, like they are arguing against the fucking ghost. That is unironically, I guess, to an extent, white privilege made manifest. Like. They're arguing against the ghost that never said that only white Europeans did conquest. Who said that? Whoever fucking like straw man on top of a straw man. Like what the fuck?
have this in their mental model. Kind of like I mentioned, Leopold taking over slave trade from the Arabs. People didn't think of the Arabs being there. They thought of it as the Europeans kind of coming into the system.
So I mentioned this earlier, but the Islamic slave trade and outposts settled by Arabs in Africa and other regions and so on have to be viewed as a separate phenomenon to what we term, quote, colonialism. Colonialism and colonization are not the same word for a very good reason. Colonialism refers to a very specific thing. You have Arab forts and outposts across Africa, and you have European forts and outposts across Africa. One of these was the stepping stone to integrating Africa into a world-spanning colonial system. One was not. One of these stimulated capital accumulation at the heart of the developing capitalist system. One did not. One of these divided the entire world between the colonial superpowers of the time with the Treaty of Tordesillas, at a time when colonialism had barely even begun. The other did not.
And to imply that the scope is the same is also absurd. Fred is making a very good point here.
Colonialism is a modern phenomenon, intrinsically linked to the development of world markets, globalization, and therefore capitalism. All of these colonial waves that led to these developments came crashing out of the colonial metropole of Western Europe. At most, one could call...
And exactly, and the main reason that we talk about colonialism under the capitalist... quote-unquote capitalist era and early pre-capitalist eras is because we are dissecting the way capitalism kind of put the idea of conquering other lands into hyperdrive. It did not alleviate that very reactionary and very aggressive kind of driving force of societies that existed in feudal times. It did the opposite. It put them into hyperdrive because now there was true capital to be made, and true capital was used as an excuse for why you get to go and you get to conquer something. Before then, it was for the money of the feudal lord, for the material resources of the feudal lord, the king, the Shaw, the fucking whatever, the fucking big guy, and that's where it stood. Well, the development of capitalism, corporations, the profit drive, put that into, no pun intended, but hyperdrive. We contextualize it under capitalism to TLDR. We contextualize it under capitalism to show just how violent and destructive capitalism itself is. It is a critique of capitalism through the critique of colonialism.
These Arab conquests and so on, proto-colonial. But even that could be a misnomer because colonialism didn't flow out of the Arab world, it came out of Europe. Austin here keeps trying to portray European colonizers as inheriting an Arab tradition, instead of introducing, most often by force, new traditions of slavery, colonialism, and other forms of social organization to parts of the world that had...
Like if a different part of the world developed neo-capitalist or not neo-capitalist, pre-capitalist societies or even capitalist societies, first they would have been doing that level of colonialization, imperialism, and that level of extracting surplus value from other parts of the world to the same extent that the Europeans did, quote unquote. That's why they're arguing against absolute ghosts, because they think that there's somebody implying that there's something de facto evil with the, white man's brain, which caused them to do all of this. Well, the analysis is just much more materialist and much more simple than that. And that is, you guys developed capitalism, the profit motive, invented corporate structures. Corporate structures were like, dude, we can expand our markets through conquest. We can expand how much resource we extract through conquest, and most importantly, we can minimize our costs by not having to use domestic labor, but foreign, borderline enslaved, and sometimes literally enslaved labor from abroad. Well, that's it. It's a criticism of capitalism. And these guys, both because of their white fragility, but also because of their inherent belief in the goodness of the capitalist system, simply cannot accept this sort of rhetoric.
Never ever known these European systems before. He said Leopold II tried to run the colony in a, quote, more European manner, but failed, and by implication reverted to an Arab way of running it. In the period of colonialism that's being discussed, the imperialist scramble, colonialism took on new characteristics characteristics also wholly separate from the old Islamic expansions of centuries prior, and the slave trade that had existed in Africa. Quote, "During the fifth colonial wave, the colonial or imperial claimants developed a new doctrine of colonial expansion and agreed on it. Now it was the demonstrable existence and operation of the colonial state that was to be the marker of possession, a claim that would entitle its holder to lawfully exclude its competitors. The colonial state had to be in place, and it had to be demonstrably shaping the economy and the social life of the colony. Colonialism now became an exercise in international peer review. The colonial state was a new and powerful transformer of the lives of the colonized. It relocated, adjudicated, allocated, repressed, educated, and most importantly, it exacted tax and other tributes." Quoting from the next page, "The lives of the colonized populations were now being transformed like they had never been before. Historians do something called periodization, whereby they divide the past into distinct periods with specific defining characteristics. The defining characteristics of the colonial period are not present in the Arab conquests.
The same way we define different periods of a stream as pre-ad and after-ad. Participate in the after-ad community by subscribing, supporting the show, and showing the Americans that an early stream for the Europeans, Asians, Africans, and sometimes even Australians makes perfect sense for $6 a month or for free through Prime or by gifting the living shit out of me. Thank you very much. Ad plays in 2 minutes.
That are being mentioned here.
Like with the whole mouse utopia thing, which you know is one of the biggest themes of the YouTube channel I have, is like the second people leave grinding poverty, they stop doing anything interesting. You had to have a society where almost all Europeans lived in poverty to get them to conquer the world and have the Industrial Revolution and invent science. And
invent science.
It's hard for us to understand. I think a lot about how for most eras of human history, life was seen as relatively cheap.
This is kind of a strange...
This is an absolutely unhinged, brutally incorrect take. Dude, put it as simply as possible. Capitalism begins. You have competing corporate structures. Corporate structures are more profitable either through cutting costs or introducing new products to the market. Imperialism allows them to, for example, not hire English people who, of course, the English working class was super exploited by then, but they were still being paid some sort of wage, okay? So you just go to another place, you pay them literally zero because you enslave them, and you extract their resources for free by using their labor, resources that you then take back to your domestic market that has never seen something like a spice or something, etc., which then goes into overdrive of consumption of said thing and motivates greater and greater expansion into the developing world by the imperialist forces, because there is a literal profit motive to do so. This is a brutal oversimplification of, for example, Lenin's analysis of imperialism, etc., but at the end of the day, that's exactly it. And this man is implying that because they were poor, they decided to go out and do surplus extraction from the developing world. That's insane. That's the opposite happened. Don't even get me started on invent science. Thank you, Gabriel, for the bits. This is chat colonialism and value extraction. Hugo is colonizing chat. It is kind of true. Is this post or prior to the ayahuasca saga? I think this is post. So the entire Renaissance was sort of built on the foundation of Muslim texts and translations, but yeah, sure, Europe invented science. Europe invented everything, man. Europe invented breathing.
Thing to say, and in fact history demonstrates that it's actually quite the opposite. Grinding poverty traps you and prevents you from doing much more beyond survival. The people inventing these medicines, spearheading these scientific advances and so on, were largely not poor and abused peasants, but highly educated people from the middle class and up. Virtually every major development in human social organization has come as a direct result of advancements leading to more efficient production, which frees up labor hours to be spent on other things. He's not just talking about history here.
Exactly. The quote-unquote wealthier a society becomes, the more access the majority have towards time and resources, the higher the chance is that, I don't know, the next Nikola Tesla doesn't just spend his whole life digging away at carrots and potatoes on a farm, but actually gets to develop the physics, the potential to develop physics the way that he would want to. It's so basic shit.
He's leveraging a critique against contemporary society, which he views as soft, presumably. He's saying back then you had less to lose because your life was meaningless, so you'd take greater risks. He's saying now you have so many comforts you're not going to take risks. Your life is less cheap now. In the present day, a great many people live in grinding poverty already. These people lack access to education, which could unlock much of their potential. They lack the safety net to be able to experiment, fail, and repeat that process without risking their livelihood. The person working 2 minimum wage jobs to pay down their medical debt is unlikely to find the cure for cancer.
Yeah, that's why, communists like to say, imagine just how many Einsteins right now are slaving away under serfdom in some, for example, Indian village. If we all had more access to resources, to education, and to the ability to fully express our intellectual capacity, we would unironically skyrocket as a civilizational species project, because there would more of the geniuses that are spawned for this or that reasons into our species would actually have access to stuff that allow them to translate their genius into an invention, into social analysis, into governance, into whatever field, into art, whatever field one wants to pursue through their genius. But when we don't have access to that, when we are forced by generations and generations of poverty to simply continue repeating what our ancestors have been doing for the last 300 years, there's not much chance for us to do anything. Like, I can want to do whatever I want to do with my God-given genius or nature-given genius, whatever you want to call it. But if I'm stuck in occupied colonial space, or under a serf system, or even in a developing market economy, there's not much that I can fucking do.
Black people are not indigenous to South Africa. They only came pretty briefly before the Europeans did, where they were settlers from further north.
I bet Elon Musk loved this one.
Yeah.
This is not what the word indigenous means. And he later does call these very same, quote, black people the natives, which could have been a slip of the tongue, or he's operating on differing definitions of these words. Indigeneity is often misconstrued as the people who originally came from that land, which is an unworkable definition, because we all came from somewhere. A whole society and its population didn't spawn somewhere.
Exactly.
For now, there was a past, a history. That history led to the now. It's the things that happened in that history that make one person indigenous and another not. Quote, "Indigenousness is an identity constructed, shaped, and lived in the politicized context of contemporary colonialism. The communities, clans, nations, and tribes we call indigenous peoples are just that, indigenous to the lands they inhabit, in contrast to and in contention with the colonial societies and states that have spread out from Europe and other centers of empire. Note that this definition specifically allows for non-European colonizers or non-white colonizers. One example would be the Japanese." Quoting Colonialism: A Global History. "The natives are only natives in relation to those who were born elsewhere. The indigenous peoples are only indigenous in relation to exogenous settlers, and so on. This is obviously not to deny that all these collectives existed in themselves prior to the colonial encounter. They existed, and often thrived, but not as participants to an unequal relation that reconstituted them."
Absolutely. As Joe once says, indigenous isn't an inherent trait. It is defined in its relation to colonialism. You become indigenous when you are colonized.
In other words, the appearance of the European colonizer is what made these people indigenous, because what defines the indigenous is their...
They completely miss the definition. As always, the right-winger or the enlightened centrist argues against strawmen that don't even exist, okay? They think that, leftists believe that indigeneity implies that, those people came out of the ground on that particular piece of land, and that we don't believe that they too at some point migrated to that particular place. Like, it's absurd.
Relationship to the colonizer. Veracini actually mentions what Wout Altist is doing here in his book Settler Colonialism, A Theoretical Overview. Quote, "At times, the indigenous community's very indigeneity is questioned. Black South Africans were thought to have entered the settler space after the Boer treks of the 1830s, and in a different context, but in a similar fashion, Palestinians have also been represented as non-indigenous to Palestine. More generally, indigenous peoples, even Australian Aborigines, are frequently seen as, quote, lost tribes coming from somewhere else."
The entire native population of South Africa, or 90%, died off due to diseases. So the Dutch
He literally thinks indigenous just means people of color. It's kind of funny. It's hilarious.
started settling their own men in South Africa. And it's more useful to see South Africa as like a Canada or America or Australia, this settler colonial society, where the Dutch had to populate and settle it. And interestingly, South Africa could have ended up being majority white in a lot of different
I'll leave you in capable hands. Let me go make myself a coffee, Burba.
timelines.
I'd love for him to explain why they, quote, had to populate and settle it, but instead he goes down a tangent about how he made an alternate history video about how South Africa could have been majority white, which I'm not interested in. I think he might be thinking of these places as completely depopulated and in need of bringing in external manpower for the places to function, which I don't think was the case. If it was, we'd probably have seen different demographics in South Africa, with white people making up more than 7% of the population. I do quite like the fact that he correctly points out that Canada, Australia, South Africa, and so on are settler colonies, though.
In South African politics today, there's this huge dynamic where the ANC or the African National Congress, which are basically a communist party, they're trying to take the farmland away from the whites, which is one of the most potentially disastrous decisions possible.
What he's referencing is the African National Congress's land reform, which is what sparked Elon Musk's accusation of white genocide, which eventually led Donald Trump to offer refugee status to any white South Africans who wanted to flee the country. Only 59 Afrikaners actually resettled in the US under this program. According to the BBC, the white minority comprises 7% of South Africa's total population, but owns 72% of the country's farmland. Additionally, the ANC are far from communist. And then, for some reason, his Libertarian Party co-host, with a Rick and Morty painting in the background, starts going on about his good friend Rhodesian Mike.
And I had a good friend, Mike, I'm forgetting his last name, but I worked with him a bit in Indonesia. He was monitoring a rose plantation, and he was Rhodesian. And he fought in the war back in the day in the helicopter squads, and he got shot in the head. Real crazy, intense war. They were really fighting hard, and he really believed in it, and he was really sad about it.
What the fuck are the freaks talking about?
To this day. So yeah,
The chair taught you a lot of slurs while I was away. I'm very glad.
it's painted as like a white apartheid state, but it was, really a civil war, and most of the people making up the infrastructure and fighters, not all the helicopter squads of the Rhodesian army, were local.
Of course, the majority of the army in the Civil War on both sides is going to be black. The white settler population only accounted for 5% of the country's population, at least according to the CIA, who I think you can trust on this one. Now granted, this is from 1976, so a handful thousand middle-class whites had already left the country, which is not statistically insignificant when the white population at this time numbers only 277,000. 60%.
The chair kept saying that you're actually Albanian and even called me Indian. Said by Pakistani Mango. That's funny. You're funny. If there's anybody who understands the economy of the Balkans, it's Pakistanis and Indians.
Of these white people were immigrants who arrived in the country in the post-World War II period from South Africa and the UK. The poor treatment of the African population by the
What's up, Freda? We have the maker of the video in chat. Let's fucking go. Immediately give Freda a follow. As I said 10 times earlier, Freda also streams on Twitch. Dear friend of the show. Streams are fucking base as shit. Please, everybody give Freda a follow.
recently arrived white minority very clearly spurred nationalist momentum and led to the inevitable civil war over the fate of what was to become Zimbabwe. Educated African elites had naively wanted to work with the white minority in order to gain some concessions and rights they believed were afforded to them. Quote, "This is clear evidence that they were not, as yet, seeking to overthrow colonial rule in order to replace it with one man, one vote, but were merely asking to be governed well and to be accorded rights and privileges that they thought were due to them as, quote, civilized men and women. It is therefore conceivable that had the white establishment opened its doors more widely to the educated elite, the rise of militant African nationalism might have been delayed considerably. It is partly because of the establishment's refusal to promote, quote, equal rights for every civilized man, that the African educated elite became more radicalized and turned to militant nationalism." In 1964, Britain set forth a list of principles that must be adhered to, the sixth of which, no independence before majority rule, was critical in leading Rhodesia to unilaterally declare independence. Independent Rhodesia was a country whose very existence was born out of a desire to maintain white minority rule, and the majority of that white minority had no roots in the country. I don't think Rhodesian Mike here is a very trustworthy source
Rhodesian Mike.
on how Rhodesia wasn't as bad.
Freda, by the way, very good video. Very, very, very good video. We've been having a lot of fun, dude. We've been having a lot of fun. My favorite is Herder. Other ethnicities did it, and that is an argument for why it is okay. My favorite is the complete fumbling of the definition of what indigeneity means, and their constant fighting against strawmen that don't exist. Like this imaginative group of people that came in and said colonialism is bad because white people did it. And only white people can do colonialism, completely removing the conversation about early capitalism and later on capitalism, its role in why colonialism and imperialism happened the way they did, etc., etc. They keep bringing up leftists. It's so funny. Yeah, they keep bringing up like arguments that nobody ever makes. Like
As people say it was. We could listen to the
probably makes them feel really smart. I'm jealous, low-key.
guy who believed in Rhodesia and was sad to see it fall, or maybe the entire international community that refused to acknowledge its independence after Britain instructed it to institute majority rule. Another colloquial word for majority rule is democracy.
Because under apartheid, you had all these race laws, and then with the new regime, they made all these anti-white discrimination laws.
Right. Well, it was a big warning for what was happening in the U.S. And South Africa was often cited as an example of where the racial rhetoric of the left would go in terms of, adding in their own discrimination from an opposite framework.
Yes.
What the fuck are you talking
Oh my
about?
God.
As I just mentioned,
In Rhodesia, 5% were fucking whites, and they controlled almost the entirety of capital. And once the judicial discrimination was removed from the equation, more flow of capital and actual laws being followed through on whites that happened to be criminals was followed through on, and therefore they were punished a lot more than they did before, when judicially they could not be punished because they happened to be of the holy race. It comes back to just the society set up the way Rhodesia was no longer set up that way, and then people that had immense privilege and wealth, because it was set up in the previous way, no longer could profit off of systemic injustice, and then due to justice, some of their shit was taken. But no, this was racialized.
7% white minority owns 72% of the country's farmland. That doesn't sound like a marginalized population to me. You don't fix this sort of wealth disparity by doing nothing. Expropriation of settler property or wealth isn't being done inherently on the basis of race, but on the categorization of settler, which is not inherently a racial one. It's the same as colonizer and colonized, indigenous and non-indigenous. These words do not mean black and white, African or European. It just so happens that Europe colonized Africa. Hence, the settlers are European and the colonized are African. Deciding to not take measures to rectify this grotesque wealth disparity because the settlers happen to be white would actually be racist. They're saying that anything that targets a population which happens to be white is then racist, which...
Let's imagine that in France, let's imagine an alternative universe, just so I make sure that all of you guys completely understand this. Let's imagine an alternative universe where, depending on how much money you have, your skin gets whiter. And we are talking about feudal France before its first, Great French Revolution. So the aristocrats and the king, everybody who held all the wealth, because they held all the wealth because of the systemic inequalities that feudalism brought about by introducing the idea that God can grant somebody the right to be king, and then all of his 1,000 cousins the right to be aristocrats, right? So all the aristocrats and all the kings had, like the one king, all the aristocrats and the king had so much money, so they became very, very pale. Well, the rest of the French, because they had no money, they became darker and darker skinned and darker skinned and darker skinned. Once feudalism was overturned, They took all the shit away from the aristocrats. They killed a lot of them. They took a lot of the shit away from the king. They killed a lot of monarchs. Did the French population, who happens to be dark-skinned, do all of this to the aristocrats and the king because they had a different skin tone? Or did they do it because the aristocrats and the king happened to be white and happened to extract all the value, all the money, all the wealth out of the general society because of the fact that they found themselves in a feudal system which put them above everyone else? No, obviously they were killed and their wealth was taken because they were recipients of the privilege of existing as aristocrats and kings inside of a feudal system. Same thing happens when you're kicking out colonizers, not even kicking out, when you destroy a system presupposed on racial categories of settler colonialism. What comes after that is the removal of the injustices that were created by said settler colonialism on the basis of those material injustices, not on the basis of ethnicity. Do you understand now? I hope you understand now.
Ironically, of course, is racist rhetoric in and of itself, because they're saying white people need special protections. These guys whinge and moan about how the left only sees things in terms of race, gender, etc., and then they
only do it, absolutely.
Go on like this. Tackling wealth inequality would be no...
Right-wingers ironically characterize colonialism as a white thing, and so fighting against it is anti-white, and just completely forget the Japanese Empire existed. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Less important in a, quote, black society that was settled by another colonizing, quote, black minority. It just so happens that largely colonialism...
You know what kind of colonialism is good? Colonializing this fucking subcount. It's sitting at 3 out of 100 for the Eurasians, Africans, and Australians. Holy shit, I knew that the Americans have all the money. But you guys, but not to this extent, is what I'm saying. So colonize the subcount. Colonize the child soldier identity. $6 a month free through Prime or by gifting subs. Don't let yourself be embarrassed. Put down like this by the Yanks. The Yanks right now, all of them are not whipping out their debit cards because they're like, I don't want Hugo to stream so fucking early. I don't want him to because he will realize it's financially unsustainable. Okay? Don't do the Eurasian streams, Hugo. Don't do the Eurasian streams. And what do you Eurasia Africano Australians do? You're like, yeah, you are being stepped on by American chatters and you're not doing anything about it. What a shitty time to be alive.
Flowed out of Europe, and that is the reality we are forced to live in, instead of the fantasy worlds these people occupy.
Cecil Rhodes is a very Nietzschean figure, where he was this poor boy from Britain.
His family were middle-class land and business owners. They were quite comfortable. His dad was a clergyman, and his brothers went to fucking Eton, which is where the children of Tory families go to learn how to become evil in preparation of becoming Prime Minister of Britain.
And Cecil Rhodes was racist even for the era. He was considered insanely racist even for the time. And he was part of all these right-wing British associations. I will judge him for that. But at the same time, on a Nietzschean level, he is...
Thank you, Joe 1. We at least have one Eurasia African patriot in here. At least one. For now, there's 4 for today. Psh.
Somewhat of an...
Yes, I am evil when it comes to the grift. Okay, I will use all the tools at my disposal and all the tools that are not at my disposal in order to grift so fucking hard.
Considered insanely racist even for the time. And he was part of all these right-wing British associations. I will judge him for that. But at the same time, on a Nietzschean level, he is somewhat of an admirable figure for this...
What the fuck?
Singular guy doing the empire building. It's interesting to see...
Singular guy doing the empire build? What?
See it as a manifestation of great man history.
So he was racist, but I really fuck with him because he was doing empire building, and all of these dudes that didn't want to be racisted against try to destroy it. And he was like, no, I'm going to save it, not because I'm racist, but because I don't want the country I'm building to collapse. No. How about not being racist anymore and allowing that part of the population to help you build empire?
I just don't know what to say.
The birth rate is crashing
I'm taking crazy psychic damage, man.
faster than any computer
And all of that for 4 subs. Okay, I'll stop. I'm being nasty right now. I'm being nasty. It's borderline pathetic.
models we have. And this is the friggin' elephant in the room. If I had a button where I could drop something on national news every day, it would be the birth rate is crashing so fast that mankind's population is going to completely plummet.
Sociologist Felix Schilk out of the University of Tübingen links this birth rate hysteria to a decadence narrative that frequently reoccurs throughout history in reactionary movements. And he explicitly calls this out as an obsession of Elon Musk's, quote, daily social media activism. Quote, all these ideas rest on a cyclical...
Dude, like, we must ask a very important question, Chad. Are what if alt-hists ideas taken from Elon Musk, or did Elon Musk take some of his hot takes from what if alt-hist? Are we looking at the most influential YouTuber on the planet, a man who literally speaks directly to the ideology of one of the most powerful and the wealthiest human being to almost ever exist? I have a theory that they met in rehab. Thank you, Jojo Patty Tongzi, for the 4 months, my friend. Thank you very, very much.
Perception of time, rise and fall, blossom.
It's a dialectical relationship between their idea exchange, I think. Yeah, I mean, it's what came first, the chicken or the egg? You know what came first? They have the same dealer, exactly, Linder.
And decay, apocalypse, and palingenesis, meaning a national or ethnic.
Whoever said that making content does not actually influence people should get to know what if alt-hist. Motherfucker just posts the dumbest fucking videos of all time, ends up inspiring one of the most powerful emperors of all time. Elon Musk took it from alt-Megistus because Hermie Rudyard Odin Jerker has a woke soul in a chud mind.
Rebirth. In my research, I've analyzed hundreds of German and French neo-fascist magazines. In the end, the data was the same endless repetition of decadence and apocalypticism. I dubbed it conservative crisis narratives. This is Oswald Spengler Decline of the West type stuff, and as longtime viewers know, What if alt-hist has brought up Spengler on more than one occasion. What if alt-hist has brought up innumerable conservative crisis narratives over the years we've watched him, from the risk of an American civil war to the incel revolution. Schilk, citing American anthropologist Janet Whiteman, argues that these narratives, quote, cannot be taken as a description of a historical situation, nor can it be taken to be a diagnosis of the status of history. Instead, it is a necessarily political denunciation. Quote, every crisis narrative strengthens the call for redeemers. The 2024 election is a last shot to save America, claims Donald Trump. Only the AfD can save Germany, reposts Musk. It's a scalable story.
Yeah, it's really smart.
Elon Musk and What if alt-hist are both peddling the story of a looming crisis on the horizon, and the only solution is for the
YouTube algorithm pushes What if alt-hist hard if you've shown any kind of interest in history videos. Yeah, I feel like at some point there is going to be a borderline like second apocalypse on YouTube when large advertisers realize that what YouTube allows for history content very often is just like fucking pro-Nazi propaganda or pro-slavery propaganda or pro-imperialism propaganda, and they're not going to do it out of the kindness of their soul, but because they just don't want their brand to be associated with something that would motivate 90% of their customers to not want to buy their shit, right? I think I accidentally got my boost from latching onto that algorithmic funnel. Absolutely. Like there is no system in place over on YouTube that actually can check whether what somebody who just pretends to be a history professor gets to say about very real history. It is like it is a massive machine that produces conspiracies for the sake of producing conspiracies that YouTube through its algorithm unironically financially rewards. One could even make an argument that the less researched and the quicker these videos are pushed out, the more the YouTube algorithm likes it, which directly motivates people to do less research and to make shittier and shittier videos. And less complex analyses of why certain things happened throughout history. It's very problematic, especially when it comes to history content. It's very, 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 very problematic. As far as actual old history goes, I'd be interested in seeing the timeline where Valery Stalin's mutiny succeeds, restores the USSR to Leninism in the 70s. That would be interesting. Again, capitalism is at the root of institutification, always 100% of the time. It's a snake eating its own ass, man. Honestly, I feel like companies don't really care about that anymore. I don't see another adpocalypse from history content on YouTube, at least. Companies now going along with the fascistic shit happened today. Yeah, they do readjust. But if there is a large enough journalistic piece, or if there's a large enough even video on YouTube that connects these dots and shows just how insane... how many absolutely insane ahistoric channels exist on YouTube that peddle this sort of stuff. Maybe even YouTube itself will need to do something just to preserve face, because they are afraid of an apocalypse that might not actually come.
Masses to submit to the long-term plans of these CEO philosopher kings, whose business acumen and
Mr. B starts throwing Roman salutes. It could happen. I feel like Mr. Beast is so big that even if he started throwing Roman salutes, nothing would happen.
advanced intelligence make them uniquely suited to save us all. In his vision of the future, the individual does not matter, only the long-term effort to defeat the looming crisis. It's tech bro fascism, a fascism for the 21st century with really ugly aesthetics.
European colonialism in Africa was mostly done for ego reasons. And this is something people struggle with because we have been forced to be Marxists. We're forced to have the Marxist materialist worldview.
Yes, sir, we're winning. In all seriousness, the reason you are, quote, forced to be Marxist is that the contributions to the field of history by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels have been immensely helpful to our understanding of history, something you have to admit regardless of your political persuasion. Material factors are empirical and quantifiable. They easily form the basis of historical narratives without necessitating huge leaps in logic or strange vibes-based commentary. Materialist,
which is the entirety of what Ifist does. Like, at least in this video, his entire quote-unquote analysis is just fucking vibes. Vibes on top of vibes on top of vibes.
This analysis just works. There's of course room for a whole host of methods and approaches, but this is useful. And materialist analysis isn't incompatible with the idea of a, quote, ego-based scramble for Africa.
I gotta go take a quick piss. I'm gonna keep the video playing and not feel bad because the maker of the video, this brilliant, beautiful human being, is in chat right now, so you can throw your questions at Freda, who you should obviously also follow. I'm just literally gonna piss myself.
Either, though that's also not really what happened. In fact, what he presents as something that can't really be understood through a materialist lens really easily can be, if you just get your facts in order. Think back to our discussion about Leopold's Congo Free State. What sort of driving material factors can one identify there? Well, for Leopold, for one, there's the rubber profit, which he went to great lengths to extract and then subsequently hide. Why was the rubber extraction so brutal and extensive? Because his competitors were setting up rubber plantations, and so his virtual monopoly would soon be taken from him. He had very little time to get the money he wanted. It wasn't ego that caused the scramble for Africa. At the Berlin Conference, a new internationally recognized method for colonization was established, which set the prerequisite for an internationally recognized exclusive claim to a territory, an effective colonial governance. Then you had effectively locked out your potential enemies from attaining that territory. This means you have a real material motivation to seek out and take possession of territories which may not otherwise be of any benefit to you, because you want to deny your enemies access to it in case it would benefit him. It wasn't motivated by ego, it was competition over something which was in limited supply. This is material analysis. Once the colonies had all been gobbled up, the empires began to challenge each other's claims to snap colonies out from under each other's nose. Quote, A new global era of protectionism and tariffs meant that exclusive access to raw materials and markets, and exclusive outlets for excess capital, were now essential.
We are stuck in this mental model that the Europeans had to colonize Africa because they wanted to exploit it. But the reality is that Africa had negligible importance to the Europeans in the late 1800s. For British foreign trade at the start of World War I, the British Empire is at its peak, Africa combined less than 1% of their foreign trade. And this is something people think that, oh, the Western European economies were completely dependent on their colonial empires. No.
What did I miss?
Only 15% of Britain's foreign trade was with the empire. Only a handful of colonies in Africa turned a profit.
Right. I have a way to explain that to the modern audience, which is they did it for the memes.
I really intend
They did it because they could.
intensely dislike it when people view the peoples of the past as these irrational actors not operating off of concrete and identifiable motivations. They're effectively infantilizing the people of the past right now. Their argument that European colonizers didn't really benefit much from colonizing Africa seems to rely on the idea that they just did that for no reason, which is not a strong argument.
Which would, like in a weird way, make Europeans actual fucking demons. Like if there was no material wealth driving them towards colonization, that would be an argument that I was trying to argue against this entire time, which they are to an extent trying to argue against the entire time, which is that European colonization is seen as necessarily bad because it was white people doing it, and nobody's criticizing other ethnicities and other peoples when they did it. And then they go and say, oh no, they didn't do it because it could materially enrich them. They did it for the memes, which would imply then that there is some sort of crazy evil person genetic code shared amongst Europeans, which motivated them to do all of this shit. Thank you, Gabriel, very kindly. The fucking OG Unk in chat. We did it for the lulz, bruv. It was fucking hilarious. Yeah. So yeah, now they're arguing against their own point. I love people like this.
Also note how non-specific he is about the timeframes and metrics.
Like if white people did colonization not because it made them rich and because the system that they found themselves in motivated them to do it because it would enrich them, and becoming rich and becoming wealthier was the main driving force that the system implied as a moral compass to the wider population of Europe at the time. And they just did it for the lulz, would unironically imply that white people are just evil. So what?
For importance. He uses foreign trade as a metric for the profitability or usefulness of colonies, but is that the only metric? When he says only select colonies turn a profit, at what time? When? What's the time frame for profit? Was it short-term profit or was it long-term profit? The profitability of a colony could vary greatly over time, being immensely profitable in the short term and unprofitable in the long term, or vice versa. If you extract a lot of short-term profits, that can be reinvested somewhere else, meaning the colony might still be unprofitable, but you still somehow are profiting off of what you got from the colony. Furthermore, he's neglecting to mention who's profiting.
Wonderful.
This
A
is
new
an
child
era where
soldier,
capitalism
a new
really kicks into
subscriber.
high gear. These profitable ventures, these industries were privately owned, or at least a lot of the time. Capitalists made a killing on bringing new consumer goods to European markets from these colonies. We've already talked about Leopold's rubber, and What of Altis talked about Cecil Rhodes' diamonds. Of course, the underdeveloped peripheral colonies make up a smaller portion of the colonial empire's economy. They largely don't have the electrified factories and so on that the colonial metropole has. But that colonial periphery still supports a whole host of other economic activity in the colonial metropole. Rubber was extracted in Africa in order to build electrified factories in Europe that improved production in Europe, not in Africa. Coffee and tea
That was the whole purpose of it.
was farmed on the cheap in colonies in order to be processed and sold to European buyers by European companies at higher rates of profit. As mentioned, this was a time of protectionism and tariffs, which meant a lot of these raw resources that were vital to much European economic activity could become debilitatingly expensive if you had to import it across a trade barrier. And as we've also mentioned, the investment into Africa to build infrastructure and so on wasn't just to support resource extraction, it was to legitimize your claim to said colonies. Due to the new international framework for colonialism. You can waffle on about how these countries were of no benefit to Europe, and if that were the case, which it's not, it would paint Europeans in an even worse light. Why did we install these brutal...
Exactly. There you go. I did not pre-watch. Exactly. Thank you, Squeal Pig. Freda, the great minds think alike. I don't know. Though it's confusing because I do not have a great mind and you do. I'm going to fucking murder this. Thank you, Squeal Pig. Fucking legends. And very nice to see a pig that squeals and gives subscriptions. Great name. Thank you for the 3 months. And Gabriel, thank you for the 100 bits. Hugo, how do you resist the urge to invade Sudan and set up your colony of Eugopnia? In Sudan? Really? Of all places? I don't know. There's no material incentive for me to do it. But then again, according to these men, we do not act as subjects of material incentives. Us whites simply do crazy, unhinged, evil things because we are whites. You better prepare the battle for the hype train because I'ma train that hype. Oh, no, it's too early. No! I mean, no. Okay, so thank you for the bits. I'm not going to reject the bits. But this is too good. Okay, let's make the hype train related let's make the hype train related to the video we're watching. Okay, let's make it nasty. Let's make it like this. First one is white people just evil. Second one is white people colonization, imperial. No, let's just generalize it. Imperialism happens because capitalism. Okay, and then let's have a third one. Imperialism happens because vibes. Okay, we have the three categories. For those of you who do not know, Freda, you might not know, here on Ugopnik Twitch, while a hype train is lasting, we decide what the common opinion of the chat really is. Every subscription is a vote. Every gift sub is a vote. And depending on what wins, it gets defined as the public opinion of chat. History is made during hype trains. Show me what you think. I don't know, I have a feeling that you guys will just like ironically vote for white people are just evil, or I don't know. These are the three categories. Would you like me to change one of them before the actual vote begins, or do you think these three are fine? Huh? What if all Hist versus Elon Musk, but every vote is -1? No, yes, I'm changing that. No. Don't vote yet. What if all Hist versus Elon Musk? Okay, what if all Hist versus Elon Musk, but every vote is -1? So this is a negative vote. For the first time in Ugopnik hype train battles, we will not be saying who we like the most. We will be saying who we dislike the most. Every sub or gift sub is one stab in the belly of what if old Hist or Elon Musk. Every sub or gift sub is another tumor developing on their brain, even more than they already have. Tell me who you dislike more. Sure, some might say Elon Musk because he's a billionaire with immense power. But is this billionaire with immense power as evil as he is because he happens to be one? Or is it because of what if old Hist has taught him to believe? Today we find out whether it's the chicken or the egg that comes first. Today we found out whether ideologues of fascism are the ones truly at fault, or if it is those who apply them to the world. Cynical Chris comes in with the first 5 gifties. Thank you, Cynical, and says that no, the chicken does come before the egg. Elon Musk losing to what if old Hist now? The question remains, who will lose by the end of this hype train. Put your money where your mouth is and show me who you hate. Show me who you find cringier. Show me whether the king who once did LSD and talked to Odin himself is more or less cringe to a man who says, haha, memes, and dances like this. Okay? Choice is in your wallet. Choice is in your debit card. Tell me where it's going. Let me put this like this. Let me do this. Let me do this. Browser, media, Mac OS screen capture, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then window capture, and then this. And then I put it on the tally count. One moment. This always takes a second. Tally count. There we go. This is the current situation. Let's continue with our coverage. Take a look at the hype train and vote your asses off if you believe one of these deserves to lose more than the other. Thank you very much for coming to my TED Talk. History isn't just crystallized facts or what happens, it's interpretation and trying to order the facts into narrative. It's beautifully put. Elon Musk is the most cringe of them all. Please don't forget about his physique and that freaking commemoration half jump. That's what I was alluding to with the half jump. We have another vote for Elon Musk and moving into level 3. Hype train. Thank you, Soul Vanguard, for contributing. Thank you very much. To remind everyone, what of all hist versus Elon Muskururu. Yugo is what history is what Yugo chat votes for. Right now, it truly is. For we are defining the personality, the persona of our beautiful chat through these votes. Okay? Thank you very much. Let's continue.
And repressive regimes if you had nothing to gain. Did we just decide to ravage vast swaths of the world, quote, for the memes, as his co-host says? I don't think so. The Global South was exploited for gain, and this exploitation hampered the Global South's development. The Global South was exploited for gain. A surplus was being extracted from Africa instead of being put to use in developing it.
So whatever rubber company gets in because they got the British military to subsidize a little bit of a sortie, they're getting most of the benefit, not the actual colonial people back home.
He's very close to getting it. He just forgets that the people who are benefiting, the people who own that rubber company, are actually, quote, from back home.
Yeah, exactly. Motherfucker unironically doing criticism of capitalism by implying that the biggest chunk of all of the money generated through imperial extraction just goes to domestic capitalists, and a little bit of it trickles down to regular everyday people, but not enough for the amount of violence expressed, and therefore presenting a very good anti-capitalist argument, which basically implies that the domestic working classes or even managerial classes or even the petit bourgeois don't get much out of the imperial policies that they sometimes very fervently support. They just line the pockets of whatever dominant class of said society which participates in imperialism ends up doing. Toasty Rudyard Trismegistus. Thank you very much. We have our first vote for What If Old Hist. -6 versus -1. This is a very unmotivated hype train today, but it's okay because it's negative. You guys should not be hateful people, even to What If Old Hist and Elon Musk, I guess. Elon is worst, but Rudyard is more crazy. I don't know why I immediately knew that Rudyard is what's the word? That's What If Old Hist. He looks like a guy who would be called Rudyard.
Well, this makes it sound like he would have preferred a different sort of colonization, not for the profit of private companies, but for the benefit of an ethnic or national community, which I think historically has led us down some very dark paths. But I digress.
So we came up with this excuse, which is that, hey, this is the white man's burden. We're actually helping them. We're not stealing. Look, we're providing them infrastructure and all these other things, and overall benefiting their society, which justifies us looting it, basically.
This part is so funny because,
oh my God,
for a moment I thought he was starting to become super woke, but then he says this.
And then the unexpected happens. Polky comes in with 10 gift subs and says, my hatred is unparalleled. My dislike off Elon Musk is one which shall not be denied on this fine day. So indirectly saying that the chicken does truly come before the egg. Polky, I must ask you, is your hatred towards Elon Musk based on his opinions and attitudes and way of life? Because that might come from What If Old Hiss, the world famous YouTube content historian. Or does it come from his own material conditions? The way you vote tells me a lot about who you are. Okay, we continue. Thank you very much, Polky. That is incredibly based. Thank you very, very, very much. We need to give Rudyard a comrade. Elon too evil. What if Old Hist and Bezos? What? We need somebody to fight Elon? Should I add it? I don't know. What if Old Hist is merely cringe, whereas Elon is actually harmful by multiverses? True, but who is more cringe, though? That is the original question. Who is more cringe? Should be minus 16. I don't think it will matter. Should be minus 16? I am bad at mathematica. Okay, minus 16. I believe you. Wait. I could not count in minus. I am stupid, man. So yeah, the question is, who is more cringe?
If it was profitable, they could hire a little private army and set it up, but they're using the government to subsidize their activity. That's not benefiting the people. They need an excuse. White man's burden. It's the same exact concept as white privilege, where it's not something to an excuse to alleviate guilt. White privilege is specifically meant to generate guilt. It's a guilt generating mechanism to justify government money going to bridges and infrastructures and schools in the South.
Well, you just said that white people did fucked up shit because they felt like it, and yet you don't believe that white people should experience guilt even though they did fucked up shit because they felt like it.
Instead of
this is like Freda, you're impressive for making this video. It's like arguing with a rock.
Of the Congo or wherever.
I definitely think Austin is more racist than What If Old Hist, because What If Old Hist says,
And the Ethiopians wiped out an Italian field army at the Battle of Adoma, which completely shocked Europe, because again, the Europeans didn't think the Africans could physically beat them.
And Austin's response is to go, okay, but maybe there's something to that. What if they only won because they were fighting Italians?
Right, it's always a question. Was it the Africans or was it because the Italians are so bad? It's like...
Is that they were empires, and empires are always brutal. And there's a great book called The Rule of Empires, and it goes...
Oh my fucking God. You can't... They give Africans absolutely nothing. Like, Africans just exist over there, and they sometimes win because they fight the more inferior whites, or they get civilization built for them because the good whites came, or when they're exploited because they are Africans, they don't really manage to generate enough money for the Europeans to do it for money, so the Europeans just feel bad for them and then just do it because they feel like doing it. All of this is absolute fucking art. Thank you, The Deb, for the subscription. The Deb, who do you vote for, my friend? On the cringe battlefields of your between What If Old Hist and Elon Muskururu, who do you believe is more cringe? Your subscription is a vote, and a reminder that in exactly 35 seconds, this vote could end without you contributing to it, of course. Subscriber, Theb, who do you give your vote to? Basically, it's a minus vote. Whoever you vote for loses a point. Loses a point to Reno. And it's a battle of cringe. Tell me in your own time.
Through imperial history. And
10 seconds left. 10 seconds left. I genuinely, I don't know what I would vote for. I think I would vote for Elon. Honestly, so completely deserved victory, my friend. Completely deserved victory. Let me delete this. Very good. Thank you to everybody who participated in the hype train. Let us add this to our incredibly important list. Okay? Adding it to the Great Ugopnik Twitch war results. Okie dokes. So, who is more cringe? What if Alt versus Elon? Winner, Elon. Level 5 hype train. This is our weakest one, I believe. Level 5 hype train, but nonetheless, Elon won the more cringe category. Thank you to everybody who participated. Thank you to everybody who voted in this incredible democratic experiment we are trying to push here. At this point, as you all know, you're bisexual, circumcised, like hot dogs, put ketchup and mayo on their fries. Don't want to have a pet, prefer Mao's China over the USSR. Don't believe in West Coast, East Coast beef. You're all power bottoms. You don't fuck with Marvel or DC. You prefer booty over boobs, but especially over feet. You prefer Lenin over Fidel Castro and Che Guevara. And you believe that aliens obviously exist. And now we learned that in this particular comparison point, Elon Musk is more cringe to you than even What If Old Hist. We don't know what this says about What If Old Hist, but we do know what this says about Elon. Because to be compared to this is to be compared to that World of Warcraft character from South Park or something. Anyways, let's continue.
The thesis of the book is that all empires are basically the same. It compares the Roman conquest of Britain, the French conquest of Italy, the British conquest of Kenya and India. And the thesis is that all empires basically exist to prioritize the conquerors over the conquered. And that's the way things are. And you saw that in Africa.
Yeah, but Marxists give additional context to that inside of capitalist structures, where the profit motive stimulates empire to spread even faster and to even further parts of the world because of just how directly profitable it is, both for private entities and for the states managing empire. I think one of your audio cables might have gotten yanked, Hugo. I think it's on your speakers, but I can't. Wait, this thing isn't speaking? This thing. Wait, no, it's because there was two pages. Wait, 1 second.
Imperial history. And the thesis of the
There
book...
you go, guys. Did you miss this voice? Did you miss this voice? I apologize. It's when I open two screens, OBS does a weird thing. Okay, you gotta hear this, okay? You gotta hear the argument that I was arguing against.
Wants us to go, okay, but maybe there's something to that. What if they only won because they were fighting Italians?
Right, it's always a question. Was it the Africans or was it because the Italians are so bad? It's like...
is that they were empires, and empires are always brutal. And there's a great book called The Rule of Empires, and it goes through imperial history. And the thesis of the book is that all empires are basically the same. It compares the Roman conquest of Britain, the French conquest of Italy, the British conquest of Kenya and India. And the thesis is that all empires basically exist to prioritize the conquerors over the conquered. And that's the way things are. And you saw that in Africa, where the Europeans did oppress the Africans.
I don't really understand how he can square this thesis, which he so clearly agrees with his claim that European empires put more money into Africa than they got out of it. Why would the conqueror not prioritize themselves over the conquered, as he says? It feels...
I don't know. The Europeans are really good people, and that's why they conquered. That's the thesis, I feel like.
Feels like there's a right-wing narrative that he's very sympathetic to that's in conflict with the facts that he also knows. It might also be that he was being a little purposefully misleading, because it very well could be that more money was put into Africa than came out of it, being that Europeans only really started extracting taxes to any meaningful degree at the tail end of the history of colonialism. Instead, they were extracting natural resources and slaves before then. So in that sense, more cash went in than came out. But
exceptionally cheap labor that extracted those resources, yeah.
I think his original intent was to portray Europeans as putting more wealth into Africa than they got out of it.
It was an empire, but the Europeans were operating with more moral constraints and more guilt than most empires in history.
Right, and that's when it gets back to an interesting theme, like you were talking about with South Africa and Rhodesia. It doesn't matter how nice you are or how good you are. If you have to be authoritarian to secure control, that's going to create backlash,
Yeah.
and then it can.
Okay, so the systematic discrimination was chill. That was necessary, but the authoritarian means through which they enacted them, that was the problem. It can't last for long. More authoritarianism, more bad. That is why we are kicked out of Africa, not because we colonized it. Yeah.
Break down. So it's just the situation is what it is, and you can see that institutional legacy pretty clearly, and that's.
It's incredible watching two guys who are at the very least a little racist, trying to navigate simultaneously thinking slavery and oppression is wrong, and also thinking Rhodesia and the British Empire were kinda cool. Someone I know said Rudyard has a woke soul that's trapped in a chud mind, which I thought was really funny.
For almost all Africans, they were under the same governance before and after colonialism. And a lot of them were slave states, where in most African kingdoms, a majority of the population were slaves.
This is simply not true. As we've discussed, the colonialism of the imperialist scramble around the late 1800s and early 1900s completely transformed these societies. We've also discussed the point about slavery. The European slave trade made slavery far more prevalent across Africa than it had been ever before. The reason these countries in Africa had so many slaves prior to being colonized by Europeans is because Europeans integrated them into a transatlantic slave trade. Quote, where slaves had once been an incidental element in society, they now became common. And another quote, slavery was transformed and slave societies emerged. Europeans established and intensified slavery in Africa, and then later abolished it. These things are both true.
Is that after the World Wars, the average European realized that the African colonies didn't benefit them in any major way, so they gave up the empires because they were a drain on Europe's resources. And after the war, the Europeans lost the will to empire.
There was a whole host of reasons for decolonization, and for every instance of decolonization there were different prevailing factors at play. It was not, by and large, because Europe decided the colonies were a drain, but a different sort of value proposition. It was clear, as the British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan proclaimed in 1960 in South Africa, that the wind of change was unstoppable. Anti-colonial movements were developing all over the colonized world, and, quote, if the African nationalists were more inclined to forcefully demand independence in the 1950s, the imperial powers were less inclined to resist all calls for independence. As mentioned, a whole host of other factors played into this, and the
zero agency for African peoples. To them, they're not even peoples, right? They are a resource to be extracted. They are a movable object to be put aside when developing quote-unquote European civilizational projects, and that's pretty much it. Also, I love the argument that just the average European realized that it was a burden on them, and that is when they decided to kick it out, and not what Fred is very eloquently putting. The Europeans pretty much, imperial powers pretty much recognized that revolt against the traditional system of managing colonies was no longer sustainable, and they unironically developed post-colonial systems of continuing resource and labor extraction by pretty much leaving, this is a simplification, but at the end of the day, leaving domestic comprador bourgeois representatives in the local governments of all of these incredibly destabilized places that they are now calling countries after the colonists left, as a means to continue extracting again surplus labor and resources through corporate structures and private entities instead of through boots on the ground. Unironically, colonialism and imperialism became more efficient because it realized that it does not need to invest so much into the gun and the knife, but that the position in which, for example, the entirety of Africa found itself in after so many centuries of imperialism, it will be organically forced back into the exploitative embrace of empire. And that's it. It literally looked to be more profitable to extract value out of Africa without having to also appear as the oppressor. It was a big gaslight for most of the continent, where they were like, okay, now you are left to your own devices, but we kind of have intellectual property value of your devices. You're left to extract your oil, but you're going to have to process it through our factories. You're left to govern your own states, but we are going to make sure that if you instill any sort of leader that does not want to continue the relationship of extraction between you as a former colony and us, we're going to just shoot him in the head. Stuff like this. So yeah, just like everything, imperialism adapted, became more efficient, and in front of the eyes of the domestic population, which was revolting, but also in front of the eyes of the wider European masses, they got to feel like the good guys while continuing to do pretty much the same, sometimes making it even worse.
The Western political landscape, of course, was very important as
well. Yeah, we call it neocolonialism, yeah.
Well, the potential cost of suppressing these independence movements was also, of course, factored in. But decolonization did not start from the top. It started from the bottom, and the colonizer empires were responding to calls for independence. And many of these decolonization projects eventually led to foreign military interventions in the former colonies to once again protect the interest of colonizer nations, or as part of the superpower competition of the Cold War. Even if empires like the British and French decolonized for real practical material reasons, like the cost of maintaining the empire becoming too great, it was still a decision made with reluctance. Quote, "The imperial powers conceded independence where there were no strategic resources, no strategic implications, no communists or socialist movements ready to take over, and no settlers. But the imperial powers bitterly resisted decolonization everywhere else. When they conceded defeat, they always tried to secure concessions."
They decided to give up Africa, but until very recently, the French kept West Africa as a pseudo-colony called the Franc-Afrique, where they controlled the currency. And France, a few years ago, France was fighting about half a dozen wars across Africa at the same time. And the French just recently gave up the Franc-Afrique, which shows how recent the effects of colonialism were.
Once again, it's like he's desperately trying to cling to these right-wing narratives that he knows deep in his heart are wrong. He talks about how the African colonies had little bearing on the West, but then at the end of the same podcast episode, he talks about how we can see colonialism before our very eyes still today, with France maintaining a very colonial relationship to West African nations still to this day. We're mostly done with the history. Now I'm going to talk more about my opinions. As I've hopefully demonstrated, these guys don't have the greatest grasp on what they're talking about. They do say things that are correct, of course, but a lot of their analysis is muddied by their gripes with leftist academia and all those other strange things they bring up out of nowhere. This is a relatively middling history podcast in my opinion. So what led Elon Musk to endorse it? Yeah. Why is the world's richest man listening to this stuff? Ask yourself, who's the largest political streamer on Twitch? You'd be forgiven for assuming it's the left-wing political streamer Hasan Piker, who gives talks at universities, is interviewed on news shows, and used to work in news media.
After all, there are decades where nothing happens, and there are weeks where decades happen. Thank you.
And you're over here chirping all the way from fucking London about Palestine and doing a both sides are fucking fine type bullshit.
It's actually this guy.
Oh, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
Asmongold, a former World of Warcraft streamer who only cleaned...
I love how petty Freda is here. I love it so much. He plays Freda, he plays Asmon here, but then he shows classic Asmon behavior on the right. This is so good.
His house for the first time in years.
Good on you, Freda. Good on you, you petty motherfucker.
Because he got banned for making what I at least
feel stinky now, thanks, Freda.
Perceived as genocidal comments about Palestinians. He's nominally a gaming streamer, but a lot of his content revolves around peddling various right-wing narratives. There's probably an appeal to these kinds of guys, an appeal I'm probably tapping into myself as well. My production value isn't the best. I sometimes say things I probably shouldn't say on Twitter. I'm just a guy. There's a degree of authenticity to it. What Voltist's eccentricity, for better or worse, makes him charming and seem authentic. You know there's no scriptwriting room behind the stuff he does, no fleet of professional editors, and he has the aesthetic trappings of also just another guy. Maybe saying things none of the well-groomed talking heads on TV are saying. Aesthetically, maybe it feels a little punk rock, if punk rock had its brain irreversibly altered by a South American psychoactive.
Also, like Elon Musk is just like permanently internet pilled. Like the man lives online.
Drug. This sort of content has the aesthetics of something that's far from the halls of power, like just another guy. But as we know, What a Voltist isn't far from the halls of power. He's listened to and endorsed by what is probably the richest man in the history of mankind. I think whatever sort of vibes What a Voltist gives off, Elon Musk is into it. Elon Musk portrays himself as someone speaking truth to power, a punk rocker and eccentric rebel, despite again being the richest man in the world who had the ear of the President of the United States. But at the heart of their politics, there is no contradiction between the talking heads on TV and the insane stuff What a Voltist is saying. The core of their politics is the same. It's far-right conservatism peddling crisis narratives, defending capitalism and the rich, and tearing down workers and worker movements. This brings me to the second part of why I think these people are so successful compared to other guys who are clearly better at this than them. Up until 1981 in Norway, the government had a monopoly on mass media technology like radio and TV. In 1981, the new right-wing government opened the doors to private for-profit actors to provide multiple channels on TV. For-profit actors tend to have politics that align with their profit motive. Regulations and other systems of oversight can assure these right-wing media corporations behave to an extent. This has largely worked in Norway with TV. Such regulation is virtually non-existent in the social media sphere. Elon Musk's generative...
Yeah, what we talked about earlier. Absolutely, Fred. I could not agree more. But it would be very difficult to pull off. I have no idea how it could be done. No fucking idea how it could be done.
AI model Grok was recently deemed too woke and biased to the left. Musk tried to correct it, and it led Grok to declare itself Mecha Hitler and post-Holocaust. And
ironically, as you're talking about Grok, but ironically, even though it's manipulated very, very commonly, the X.com system of basically people source checking or fact checking videos as an option for something to pop up underneath a video could be relatively interesting-ish, but with the current state of the internet, it would probably do nothing to content creators like What a Voltist, and it would just be like a army of right-wing chuds just barraging left-wing or even borderline basic progressive videos all over the internet.
Who owns your social media? It's shareholder investors, also known as capitalists. Examples of this would be YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, or Reddit. Sometimes they're majority owned by one man, such as Twitter, which is owned by Elon Musk, or Truth Social, which is owned by the President of the United States of America. Alternative social media includes things like Blue Sky, which is still a for-profit corporation, but a so-called public benefit corporation, who, instead of maximizing shareholder value, have a responsibility to balance this against the public good. Blue Sky had 10 million active users in the last 90 days. Compare that to some of the other platforms. According to Stacey Jo Dixon, Facebook has 3 billion monthly active users. YouTube has 2.5 billion. Reddit has 606 million.
That's insane. It's Reddit 600. Oh my, that's crazy. I genuinely don't believe that Redditors exist. And yet there's 606 million of them.
Twitter, 506 million. Truth Social has something like 6 million monthly active users as of 2024. That feels comparable to Blue Sky's 10 million over 90 days. It's harder to get statistics for these two websites, and I don't know how reliable these stats are.
Twitter, 506. 400 million Twitter users are bots. There's no more than 100 million Twitter users. I'm dying on that hill. 76% of those Twitter users may be bots, according to a recent study. Forget where it came from. Oh, there you go. You said it before me.
But it's striking to me that the social media platform dedicated exclusively to the sort of American right-wing politics espoused by its owner Donald J. Trump has a comparable user base to the global website that's not totally for profit. And mind you, it's still a for-profit website. The best we're getting is a balance between profit and responsibility. The digital landscape is a world owned by the right wing. The workplaces are owned by for-profit investors, and the politics of private profit are the politics of the right. When people like What About His talk about the leftist UN world order, understand how silly they're being. When people talk about how the left runs the media, they're lying. Especially when people like Elon Musk, a man who owns the media, says it. The politics espoused by people like me and you are diametrically opposed to the people who own the places where we speak to one another, whereas the politics espoused by people like What About Hist are supportive of the owners. The roads to the halls of power are a lot shorter for those backing the people in power. It's a lot...
One could even say they don't even need a road to power. They are immediately granted access to the halls of power by just posting.
Harder for those who want to see the people in power.
It used to be that as a billionaire you had to invest a couple of million into a think tank or something so that you can have talking heads constantly appearing at every corner of every fucking university in order to pitch whatever policy was useful to the billionaire who invested in said think tank. But now good old capitalism through the profit motive and good old YouTube and general social media algorithmic reward systems have created an army of right-wing talking heads who do it for far cheaper and sometimes completely for free as a passion project. Crazy how everything degrades. And how the system itself constantly stimulates this fucking snowball effect of idiocy and complete lack of sophistication. We are not an anti-intellectual society. We're a post-intellectual society at this point. That battle has been finished. And unironically, to quote one of the greatest academic pieces of all time, the movie Idiocracy, you just need a couple of generations of that shit. And then the new smart will be dumb. As funny as it sounds, and as borderline elitist as it sounds, it's fucking true.
Overthrown. We have to acknowledge that fact, but there's no reason to despair. Though the right wing thrives in the media ecosystem of its own creation, the actual material base of their politics, that is, the people who own the factories, shares in AI startups, and so on, are very few compared to the people who do wage labor to survive. The vast majority of the user base on social media are workers, people who have very different material motivations from the shareholders and capitalists out there. On social media.
Adding link in description. All of you go and click like and click subscribe, or I will beat you on your butts.
Yeah, you are the content from which the shareholders profit. If they push the majority of people away, then there's no profit. So even though the right owns these platforms, they have to allow the politics of the vast majority, that is, left-wing politics, space to breathe. So just like...
Also, the content creator of this video, who is in chat right now, a fellow chatter, also streams right here on Twitch. I believe all of you at this point have followed him, but if you have not, then you're a dumb PC boy, okay? Don't be a dumb PC boy. And go and follow right now. Hell, do something better. Subscribe to Freda's not only YouTube channel, but throw some money at him over on Twitch as well.
Like how the own...
Thank you, Freda, for this brilliant piece of analysis. Also, thank you for doing so much psychic damage to yourself and to an extent a little bit of psychic damage to the rest of us by making us listen to this absolute fucking troglodyte who thinks that he is the second coming of Einstein while being just the second coming of Epstein. Ha ha ha, that was hilarious.
Owner has to put a bunch of workers close to one another on the factory floor, so too does the owner of the platform have to let irregular people talk to one another, and that gives us the opportunity to talk about things he doesn't like. Thank you for watching, and special thank you to the patrons at the $10 tier. The History Enjoyer, Spyron C, Garion, Gil the Gilded Dragon, Young Jin S, Jesse F, Keenan F, Lucanus F, Hengamer, Gwiggan, Vishire, Jordan M, and Monday's Last Brain Cell. Thank you all so much.
No, thank you, Freda. That was absolutely brilliant, Freda. Thank you very, 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 very much. Now, I found another video that seems interesting. I don't know if it's going to be. It says the internet keeps getting worse, and I think Freda himself did a great kind of transition for me to move into that video with his conversation about the private ownership of social media and how It really, 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 like every aspect of it really stimulates, right-wing talking heads into becoming mainstream figures, sometimes even followed by the richest man in history, arguably.
If you go and use Google,
So thank you, Freda, one more time.
Google search right
Thank you, Freda, one more time. Broody-blam-ba-jibbity-doom.
now, you'll find that it doesn't really work anymore. At the top of your page is almost always going to be this AI-generated summary. And if you're looking for something like a business, like I was looking for a dog groomer near Austin, you're going to find most of the top results are sponsored.
What the fuck? Dog groomer? So what, they take young dogs and then they groom them into wanting to have sex with other dogs? What the fuck? Why would you groom a dog?
So they're results that someone paid.
Okay, gotta go open Adobe Premiere and take psychic damage. Have a good stream, Hugo. Thank you, Freda. Thank you very much, brother. And good luck with the edit.
To show you, rather than necessarily the best results. If you go on Amazon, you'll find something similar. I had to go and...
Well, why are you freaking out, Joe One? That was a serious question. What the fuck is a groomer of dogs? The fuck is a dog groomer? I'm fucking scared. What the fuck? What is a dog groomer? Dog groomer is a professional who provides grooming services to maintain a dog's hygiene and appearance. Ah, it's the fucking people that just clean and cut the hair of the dogs? Okay. Why the fuck would you call it something so freaky? Dog groomer. Like, be like dog hairstylist. Dog hygienist. Fucking groomer. God. Was almost expecting to see a picture of Destiny when I Google that. But we all know he doesn't groom dogs, just fucking underage children.
And buy slippers for my father-in-law because he's staying with us and he wanted something to wear around the house. So I typed in men's slippers, and the first 6 results for men's slippers are all ads. The internet has come to be dominated by all of these big platforms and these big...
Oh my god, such complex analysis. What the fuck did I click on?
Websites. We're on one of them right now, and the vast majority of these platforms, maybe even all of them, just seem to be...
I feel like every video after a Freda video is just gonna sound like empty posturing, lack of any fucking real substance, just fucking, ooh guys, don't you know that everything is an ad now, and when you Google something, the first thing that comes up is AI algorithm, a summary of what you wanted to know about.
Getting worse. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why that is. And it was really helpful when I started trying to think about this that I started reading the work of Cory Doctorow. Doctorow came up with this really useful term called enshittification. Doctorow is a science fiction writer. I actually found out about Doctorow because of his stuff on DRM, like this story Unauthorized Bread. But he's also sort of a philosopher of the internet. He writes about how the internet used to be good, what went wrong, and what we could do to make it better. He noticed this pattern that platforms follow when they grow and they start to decline and they eventually die. Once you learn about this pattern, you see it everywhere. So here's how Doctorow describes it briefly. Here is how platforms die. First, they are good to their users. Then they abuse their users to make things better for their business customers. Finally, they abuse those business customers to claw back all the value for themselves. Then they die. You can
Yeah. Why? Because profit motive.
see this pattern basically everywhere, but Amazon might be the easiest example.
But you see this pattern in not just social media platforms. You see it with every commodity. You see it with literally every fucking commodity to ever exist. Because the main thing your intro to microeconomics professor fucked up with when he was teaching you on how capitalist companies function, that they told you that a company becomes bigger and wealthier by producing a product or service that is superior to those of their competition, increasing profitability by pretty much creating new markets or cornering markets where their competition cannot participate at the same level. But turns out that once you become big enough and once enough companies are participating in competition over providing a particular commodity or a particular service, which pretty much happens, I don't know, in 2 fucking days after a new thing, quote unquote, drops. They figure out a easier way to generate more money, and that is not through creating a better product or service. That is not by making it cheaper and more affordable. That is not by introducing some sort of social norm to it, which will motivate more people to buy. No, it is but because all of those things cost a lot of money and would take a lot of time, there is a much easier shortcut towards everything, and that is, instead of bettering the product or service, you simply cut costs. Through cutting of costs, you still increase profit, and profit is the main motivational category for why you do what you do. How do you cut costs? Well, you make the product cheaper, less reliable. You enshitify it. So this is from the product perspective. This is from the perspective of why the customer ends up having shittier and shittier stuff. And from the perspective of the laborers, the employees, and so on, you cut labor costs. You cut labor costs by introducing longer work hours for less people because you fired a bunch of the other ones, or you outsource it to places which do not have as much experience in developing said product as your previous employees did, which also then lowers the quality of the product, etc., etc. So TLDR, once you're in a market where there is a lot of competition, the game of who gets to eventually become a monopoly and defeat all its competitors, not by improving the product, but by cutting costs. At least that applies to, 95% of industries worldwide. And the other 5 that it doesn't apply to because they're heavily regulated, as they all should be. Okay. Monetization, commercialization, capitalization, and commodification through AI and SEO. Absolutely. At the beginning, everyone and their dogs made their website, creativity and shit, and now internet is basically GAFAM land with a dozen sites and nothing more. Of course, the propensity for any provider of a service or a commodity to eventually monopolize in fewer and fewer hands of providers. This is as classic as it gets when it comes to Marxian analysis. Ironically, since social networks, it became almost impossible to meet random people and just have a nice chat. Absolutely. I have a whole video on the commodification of relationships, for example, through dating apps, etc., etc. The market has the ability to subsume absolutely everything, including, for example, you finding somebody to have sex with, or even finding somebody to have a romantic relationship with, even a marriage or a long-term relationship, whatever floats your boat. Everything eventually can be turned into a service or a product, and through that made into a pay-to-participate concept. That is why all of this is so fucking scary to me. So fucking incredibly terrifying. Because it is not evil or good. Evil or good is easy. Okay? The market is indifferent. And indifference can do crazy fucking shit. Crazy fucking shit. As it's already doing.
Example. So when Amazon first started about 30 years ago, it was just an online bookstore. And it was actually a really useful thing to have. Before the internet, some books were just hard to find. It would take a long time for them to arrive. And so Amazon was like offering something that was valuable for customers. Amazon started growing very quickly, and soon it was selling way more than books, and it was selling just about everything. and it did everything it could to make Amazon the best choice, or at least the easiest choice, for customers.
Okay, we don't have to watch this video. I explained everything he will say in this video in 3 minutes, but he will take 26 minutes to do so. Thank you. Next, let's watch the Roblox video.
Roblox is just banned.
That was clippable. Thank you, video maker. I just said what it takes you 26 minutes to say in 3 minutes. Let's watch the Roblox video. Please clip that. Please show me a clip of that. I would love to see how I look in that one. The problems of being a reaction Twitch streamer to some of the, to like 80% of this content is because you can pretty much summarize it in 3 fucking sentences. Even the way I summarize it, I intentionally took extra time because that's the name of the game, I guess. Oh, congratulations to all of us. 28,000 followers. I didn't even notice we hit another 1,000. Good job, chat. You fucking legends. You fucking legends. Thank you very much. I always thought I'm going to peak at 10K. There's 28,000 of you fucks in here. Fucking legendary. Thank you very much to everybody who clicked follow. For real. For real.
And allegedly threatened to sue a YouTuber named Schlepp. Now, what did Schlepp do to get threatened with a lawsuit by one of the biggest gaming companies in the world? Well, Schlepp makes YouTube videos catching Roblox predators and has already gotten 6 of them arrested, which raises the question, why?
I mean, kind of like makes sense. Like Roblox is not only filled by kids, but mostly by kids. If I was a predator, that's where I would go. I mean, that kind of makes sense, right?
Why did Roblox ban him? And I think I know the answer, because Roblox's decision isn't just about Schlepp, it's part of a pattern. And there's 3 other cases where Roblox has prioritized profits over child safety. And together, they explain...
Oh wow, a company prioritizing money over safety. Never seen that one before.
Exactly why Schlepp got banned. Now first, we need to understand what Roblox said to Schlepp, because I think it's not entirely...
I'm having a midlife crisis, to be honest. Like, just listen to this sentence once again. We are spending our time on the following sentence.
Now, first, we need to understand what Roblox said to Schlepp, because
Oh, Hugo, why do you drink? Is this my life now? What Roblox said to Schlepp. We gotta analyze what Roblox said to Schlepp today. What Glibi said to Schlorpo. Like, what the fuck? Oh, dude. But I guess we should catch pedophiles and do certain things to them. So I guess it's important, even when it's a guy called Schlepp helping find that shit in Roblox. Indeed.
I think it's not entirely accurate, and it's them kind of bending their rules to make it work in their favor. Because Schlepp released a tweet where he showed the full-on cease and desist from Roblox. What a cease and desist is Roblox is saying, stop what you're doing, and if you don't stop, we will sue you. Dear Schlepp, we write on behalf of
Thank you for that explanation, bro.
Roblox Corporation.
You want cynical Hugo? You want? I don't know. I've never given you cynical Hugo. For the rest of the stream, I will be cynical, Hugo.
This letter serves as a formal cease and desist notice regarding...
It's basically passive-aggressive, Hugo. Not towards you, chat, ever. I love you guys. Towards whatever we're watching.
Your unauthorized and harmful activities on the Roblox platform. And they say that your actions are a violation of Roblox's policies and directly undermine Roblox's safety efforts and critically are exposing our users to increased risk. So Roblox is saying that Schlepp's videos are exposing more kids to potential predators, even though he's catching predators. Let's hear the reasoning. Roblox says those actions include engaging in simulated child endangerment conversations, sharing or soliciting personally identifiable information, and directing users to move conversations off platform. Now, in Schlepp's own video, which I'll have linked in the description, he directly addresses each one of
What, would you like for them to talk about pedophiles on the platform itself? Would you like two Roblox characters to be like, yo, so this pedophile stuff that's happening here on Roblox, pretty crazy, right? Let's get off platform and talk about it on Discord. No. We gotta type it out in public Roblox little clouds that appear over their heads. That's the thing that happens in Roblox, right? You write a thing and then there's a cloud thing above you. Or maybe the reasoning the CEO is a pedophile. Imagine somebody made Roblox because it's so child friendly, so that they can unironically just talk to kids all day. That's crazy. That's crazy.
these claims.
Roblox is claiming
Ad plays in 10 seconds, blah, 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 subscribe, all the fucking sentences.
that I'm engaging in simulated child endangerment conversations. What? Most of the chat logs are on Discord, and they're accusing me of getting people off of platform onto different social media sites. I guess that's worth a cease and desist and an IP ban of every single account that I own. That's just crazy. They also say sharing or soliciting personally identifiable information. I have no idea what they're referring to this. I would love to know what they're talking about. Are they referring to the fact that I give the information of the predators that we find to the police?
And here's the thing,
Roblox be like, yo, don't call the cops on them. Somebody might realize they exist.
Roblox could...
You joke, but they basically do that anyway, and nobody gets banned. There's fascist cults on Roblox. Isn't Roblox like just an alternative universe in which kids can be kids? And yet there's fascist cults on there and pedophiles. I swear to God, being a kid sucks so much nowadays, I guess. Hey Hugo, so a channel called People Make Games made a great video on Roblox's lack of protection for its users and exploitation of its child devs. Yeah, the what you call it? Yeah, I remember this video. This is a great video from back in the day, and now the topic is back on the mainstream, back on the mainstream. CEO just wants to suppress and silence scandal, absolutely, but he's so fucking stupid because he doesn't understand how the fucking internet works. No, like everybody is on their grind pill for content, and a CEO of a video game company trying to sue a YouTuber, like you will be on the front page on absolutely everything for the next 5 fucking weeks if you throw a lawsuit or a cease and desist type shit at absolutely anyone participating in that conversation. That is so dumb as shit. Why are you wearing underwear on your face again? Because I like how your mom's pussy smells, bro. I keep wearing her underwear. It's fucking sick as shit, dude. She's very tasty. I saw this a while back. It's somewhat sensationalist, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Roblox.
How fascism took over Roblox. That's interesting. If you're really into Roblox, I'm really into pedophiles getting fucked up. It's more than that. They actually want to make a Roblox dating game. What? Nobody wants to make a Roblox dating game. What the fuck? No fucking way. What the fuck? You can't make a Roblox. If a platform is only for kids, how the fuck are you making a dating game? A dating app? What, a Roblox dating app? So what, you just put your Roblox on it?
Have easily turned a blind eye to this. They could have ignored Schlepp and just...
Yeah, I could, Robo, yeah, at some point.
Let him catch Roblox predators, because measurably there would be less predators on the platform. But instead, Roblox is using these policy violations as a tool.
Thank you to the OG, Puerto Rican vegan socialist. Thank you for the 4 months, my friend, and the 15 in general. Came for theory, Marxist, Leninist propaganda, stayed for the mum jokes. I live for it, my friend.
To intentionally ban Schlepp. And there has to be a deep-rooted reason why they felt the need to basically nuke Schlepp's...
Hey, Mom, where did you guys meet with Dad? On a Roblox dating app. Jesus Christ, my parents.
Whole entire career by blocking him from Roblox, because further on in the email, Roblox states, while Roblox acknowledges that your stated intentions may be to protect children, and while it recognizes the serious nature of online predatory behavior, your methods, including failing to immediately report suspicious activity to Roblox through proper channels.
Oh, come on. You guys are shooting yourselves in the foot. They're literally saying, yo, if you find a pedo, tell us so that nobody else hears about it. Okay. It's like your mom coming to you and being like, yo, if your dad ever touches you in the weird places, don't go to the police. Immediately come tell me. What? Why did you think it was smart for you to tell me that, Mom? Why did you think it was needed for you to tell me that?
Are actively interfering with Roblox's established safety protocols and critically are exposing Roblox's users to increased risk. And I just want to show you how ironic this whole entire sentence is, because Schlepp has made a tweet talking about how he arrested a predator he caught in his last video. And he said, mind you, we reached out to Roblox, gave them all the info, and they left him up on the Roblox platform where he continued to get back on and access the platform after being bailed out, which could result in more kids being harmed, and eventually
is this the world's dumbest fucking pedophile? Like a guy with a massive platform on the internet finds him, makes a video about how he's a fucking pedo. The guy gets bailed out and he immediately logs in on the same fucking Roblox account and keeps talking to kids. Holy shit, man.
Roblox.
If he wasn't a pedo, I'd almost feel bad for him. Why don't you tell us, Slep, except I literally did with the FBI?
Did terminate the predator, but this was after the video and after Schlepp even reported him. And
yeah, there you go.
It really seems like Roblox only cares when it is a public thing they have to worry about. I hope you see how this is complete bullshit. According and pursuant to Roblox's policies, Roblox will be closing your accounts, so all of Schlepp's accounts banned. And please note that the Roblox community standards prohibit opening new accounts to evade an enforcement action. Therefore, we demand that you cease and desist from accessing the Roblox platform. And Roblox states that they will take appropriate legal action against Schlepp should he continue to violate the Roblox community standards. And they specifically threaten claims for breach of contract and violations of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which prohibits unauthorized access to computer systems and data. What this legal email is saying is that if Schlepp signs up for a Roblox account, that is equivalent to hacking into Roblox. That is fucked. But this is only half of what Roblox did around Schlepp's ban. Roblox on their own corporate website made a newsroom posting talking about how Roblox partners with law enforcement. Considering this happened a day before Schlepp's ban, it's clear that they were preparing for this sort of backlash. But a lot of this article is talking about how Roblox works with law enforcement and how Roblox cares about kids and enforcing their platform. Admittedly, to be clear, to concede for a second, Roblox does provide information of predators to law enforcement, but the point of this post, considering it got posted a day before Schlepp's ban, isn't just for Roblox to say how awesome they are, it's to highlight this section here, vigilante groups. Because in this post, Roblox says that law enforcement professionals are best positioned to investigate potential crimes, 100% true, therefore we want to be sure that any violations on Roblox are reported and acted upon through the proper channels. Unfortunately, there are cases of vigilante groups or individuals violating our policies to entrap users or otherwise self-police the platform. And while these groups may appear to have the public's interest at heart, they are in fact acting in ways that could be harmful to...
Wait, what? Is this finally working for me? Oh, this is finally working for me. Wait. Because this didn't work for a while. Okay. Let's see what is happening in the most important country on the planet. What is happening in the most important country on the planet? Obviously, Albania. What is happening in Tirana? Come on. You need to zoom in. Yeah, I'm trying to zoom in. Okay, we got Peter Griffin. We got the Albanian president gangstered out, anti-gay. There we go. Somebody's trying to remove the Palestinian flag. There we go. Classic Albanians fucking around. Eddie Rama. Eddie Rama is the president. Here, there's probably, you see, here somebody tried to draw a inclusive flag, and they're immediately drawing a fucking Albanian flag on top of it. Peter Griffin is a dominating figure here because Albanians mostly look like Peter Griffin. Obviously, we have the power of Christ being held, but I think Skanderbeg, this is Skanderbeg. Skanderbeg was half Serbian, by the way. Isn't that funny? Oh, we got Billie Eilish up in this motherfucker. Many crosses. What is this? What is Discord.gg/Lask or something? Football Club Partizani. We got more Skanderbeg here, or that's a different guy. Gyakurum. Okay, let's see what the Croats are up to. I wonder what the Croats are up to. You know what the Montenegrins are up to, okay? Montenegrins are usually very wholesome. They're very, very wholesome. They're wholesome as shit. Somebody changed the name of the thing. Of the video. I'm just gonna chill with chat now. Tell me what places you want to see. Oh, there you go, Montenegro. And we already have the Yugoslav flag. Let's fucking go. We got some Serbian symbols in here. This particular thing. This is beautiful. This says everybody is welcome here. My bro Crnogora. Hi from Mongolia. We have the Montenegro ball. We have the Montenegro ball, which is nice. Do you like hurting other people? What? What the hell? More Yugoslav flags. That is, there you go. Like, man, fucking Montenegro's based as shit. Fear and Hunger. Fear and Donya. And we got the Bay Harbor Butchers Dokes. That's funny. That's funny. So how do I draw on this motherfucker? Okay, I want to draw something in good old Podgorica, like here, towards the exit. Paint. How do I paint? I gotta log in. Motherfucker. Wait, now I'm gonna show all my shit to you fuckers. Wait, let me move it. Log in with Twitch. I can log in with Twitch. Authorized, okay. We have disabled new Twitch accounts for security reasons. What? Okay. Security reasons. Too many evil Twitch people. Let me log in with Google. Log in with Google. Jugopnike. Continue. Do not paint over other artworks using random colors. I think I can paint. I don't have my mouse on me. Understood. Okay, let me put it back. Okay. So what now? Paint. I got 62 out of 62. How do I do this shit? Security reasons shit posting. There's someone doing a Nazi flag there. Where? I didn't see a Nazi flag. Where's the Nazi flag? I see no Nazi flagos. No Nazi flagorinos. Relevant Yugoslavia MOG. Mugshot of Tito. Yeah, it's fucking classic. Next to the Partizan one. Next to the Partizan one. That's not giving me much help. There's always going to be dicks. Currently fighting some Nazi in Germany, shameless ones. How do you fight them? What do you do? Wait, let me try my first painting. But I literally don't use a mouse. How the fuck am I going to paint? Let's paint here on top of this thing. You just click and what? You say paint. Oh, and now I can use like stuff like, oh, okay. Okay, like this. Whoop. Whoop. And then whoop, and whoop, and then whoop. Come to me, help me paint. Is it immediately gonna appear on you guys' thing or no? as I do it. Try and find me. Of course, I'm writing my own name. I'm fucking incredibly self-entitled. Man, it's turning out great. I'm such a fucking artist. I don't know if you guys know. I'm extremely talented. I collect art, which makes me an artist, don't you know? Consuming a commodity is the same as producing the commodity. It doesn't live update, but I see it. You see the Yugo? No more charges. Fuck, how do I charge? Oh, I gotta wait 30 seconds? Shobla. That's evil. Doesn't that limit how much fun people can have? Yugo. Paint the Yugoslav flag next if you can. I don't have enough paints to write Yugo, let alone paint the flag. And now I gotta wait for 30 seconds. It limits griefing too. The letters get wider after each letter. Because the name is exercising. It's getting wider and wider. What? Just one? Dude. So just got one. And now I gotta wait for another 20 seconds. Come on. Get an IMF loan for more letters. That's fucking hilarious, Bathist. That's so funny. Especially coming from a Bathist. At least somebody would give us a loan. The only loan they gave Bathists are fucking bombs from the sky. So sorry, that was nasty. That was nasty. Someone has to paint a Yugo. Paint me like one of your French girls. Paint me like one of your French girls. Zoom out so we can see where you're at. I'm next to the big monkey head. Yeah, you guys come and help me. If we paint together, that would be shit as fuck. So you scroll down into Montenegro, right? Right? Into the country whose whole existence is only to give you an excuse to say the N-word. So you come in here and then you look for the monkey, right? You look for the thinking gorilla. Think for the thinking gorilla, right? Come in, thinking gorilla, and then you go down here. You go down here, and you type it here, right? 5 more seconds. If you guys start painting, does it auto-update, or do I have to... Oh, wait, what? Oh, that was sick. Somebody helped me. That was awesome. Yay. That was so cool. That was so cool. That was so cool. That was so cool. What's the name of this? Chat chilling painting in We Place Live. Oh my God! Somebody's writing. Dude, this is so sick. This is so sick. This is so sick. I'm what the fuck? That is so cool. That is so cool. That is so cool. That is so cool. You really fucked up the end though. How can I help you with the end? Dude, I feel like a kid again. What? Why would you do the eye like this? Wait. Oh, let me help. Oh, there you go. You got the eye. I feel like a kid again. This is so fucking fun. You got... No, you overdid the... The letters are crazy, but it is okay. I am very grateful. Somebody has a lot of fucking points. How do we make this K a little more K-ish? How do we make it more like normal looking? We need a brick here on top. We need a brick here on top. We need some sort of brick here on top. Right here. And it's really fucked up. I know. The letters are drunk, but it seems fitting. Very funny. Make the end more steep. Wish I could paint, but I'm banned. How the fuck do you get banned from this game? Who is Mato Tsigan fanboy? What? I don't know, but that's JT underneath. You Gopnik loves JT. That is so niche, bro. That is so niche. I mean, it's not niche for us, but people looking at this are going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Streamers usually put a semi-transparent picture over the map when they want the community to paint something together. Okay, how can I put a semi-transparent picture on top of it? What is the option? Alliance. Create an alliance. Alliance name, YugoChat. And how do I invite people like this? There you go. They added an overlay in OBS. I mean, sure, but how would that help you guys? You have to look at the Twitch screen and then the other one. And if you join, what does that even do? Somebody's painting the oh. And a smiley face. Okay, don't waste your points. And there's a dick on top of it. We're already being nuked. But the dick can be a smiley face. There you go. Put one right here. Put one right here. We need to make it into a smiley face. There you go. Keep it like a picture-in-picture while it's doing the rest of the stream normally. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean, my friend. There you go. Now it is serious Roblox man. He is man that is serious. Some guys are painting the O in what I'm guessing is a Yugoslav flag, maybe. Ufigi unbanned. Love JT, and somebody's gonna write Love Hakim down there. Somebody's got a lot of points. He's got a lot of points. Okay, write Hakim, and then we move to another place. We must tag the internet. We must tag all the Balkan capitals. Okay, that's gonna be our job. We tag all the Balkan capitals with shit. The more you spend, the bigger capacity you have. Hell yeah. Run out of points writing Hakim. Wait, let me help you. I have 2 points. Oh, what? I didn't do that. Somebody does not want us to love Hakim. Somebody does not want us to love Hakim. I love Ha. I love Ha. Let me help here. There you go. And just leave this area. Yeah, I guess add blue on top. Add blue on top. Okay, no, it got... you can put white in it if somebody's trying to sabotage. That's so smart. That's so smart. I love stroke noises. Chat, remind me which part of the map this is. This is in Podgorica, which is in Montenegro, the country. You go into into Podgorica and just zoom in next to the big monkey, and then you pretty much have us. Somebody, oh, that's cool. Somebody drew a hammer and sickle, but it's inconspicuous enough for some local idiots to not recognize. Very good. Very, very good. Very good. And there's a massive battle going on here over pro-Hakim people and anti-Hakim people, okay? A pretty big battle. Tried fixing the K, but it got changed fast. Should put the deprogram. We should. That's a lot of letters. This was the way. This was the Battle of Hakim. Will they write it or will they be haters? Pixel by pixel, they put their efforts down on the page. No, it's Habibi. Somebody's trying to turn it into Habibi. I love Habibi. I mean, that would basically mean Hakim, so it's fine. I think it's between revision M's and progressive M's. What did you send me, you figgy? Israel? It is not Israel. Where is this? Where is this? Habibi, spisz li dobre. In Chattanooga? Oh, dudes, let's go to Chattanooga and write the D program. Okay, this is lovely, but don't waste your points, okay? Okay, don't waste your points. Let me Google what Chattanooga is. Chattanooga. I'll do it on a separate because I actually have to use Google Maps, and that would literally make me. Okay, so Chattanooga is in Tennessee. Okay, chat, we're moving to Chattanooga, but don't paint anything before I find the spot. Okay, Jesus, can you zoom out, please? God damn, okay. Okay, over to the United States. We're going in. We're looking for a place called Tennessee, and we're looking for Chattanooga. There it is. Okay, the Noog. Okay, zooming. Oh my God. The Americans are at it again. So many fucking things. Okay. Next to the Doomer guy, maybe? We can do next to the Doomer guy. Want to do next to the Doomer guy? Right underneath the Doomer guy, we can write the D program. Okay? Makes sense? Okay, so Chattanooga, you saw where it is. Let me zoom out again, chatters. You zoom out again. You see? Tennessee. You move down from Tennessee. It's perfectly understandable if you don't know where Tennessee is. But just look for it on the map. It's to the right of Memphis. Memphis. Okay? Okay. And here, do we want to try and draw the program guy? Wait. The program images. Let me try the program logo. This is a big request. I'm not sure if we could do it. Wait for each other. Don't paste over each other, my beautiful people. Pull us up. Wait, image. Is this how you do it? And then you pick an image. I pick downloads and I pick this one. There you go. Okay, so if I was to take this, you can see it on screen now, and put it like this, would we be able to draw it or nah? Would we be able to draw it? So it's in this area. You see it's right here. I'm going to put an orange box so you can see we are using gold. Okay, we're using gold. We're using gold. Wait, where is it? It's right here. Okay, there you go. We got gold. Not enough resolution, I think. I mean, you can kind of see it. I don't know how to help you. Because now if I increase it, now I'm stuck. I can't do anything. I can't zoom. I can't do anything because it's right there, okay? You see? So now we want to give it a couple of corners of gold on top. Or you want to put like the entire background in gold first. Okay, here, yeah, definitely here. Keep it like, you see where you're doing it? Now you're looking at the stream and you're looking at where you're putting it. Dude, that's so smart. That's so smart. Can you pixelize it? Let me see. Let me try. That is a very good idea. Pixelize image. Let me see if I can do it off screen. That's such a fucking good idea. Wait. Pixelizing right now. Pixelate. Okay, can you pixelate? Yeah, it's a bit fucked up, but I think it should work. JPEG. Saved. Okay. Now I'm going to double this. No, not that one. Not that one. The image, I'm going to double it. And then I'm going to add the pixelated one right here. Okay. There you go. That's the pixelated one, but it kind of looks fucking shitty. See? You guys are going all over the place. You guys are all the way down here. You want to make it bigger? I don't think we have enough points. I don't think we have enough people to do this that way. Because they're making it too large. Just stick to where the square is. There, I'll give you the pixelated one so that it's extra easy. There you go. Do at everyone in the deprogram DC. You think so? But how the fuck do I show them where the fuck we at? See, this is what we're trying to make. This is what you guys are doing right now, okay? Just for context. Okay, you guys want to make it bigger. Okay, I'll help you make it bigger. There you go. There you go. But don't go under that line. The bottom line is finished. The bottom line is finished. Now I need people to start making the face. Okay? See where it's at? See where the jawline is at? Can you lower the opacity of the image? I don't know if there's option for it. Properties, no. Filters, filter, chroma key, color key, image mask blend, luma key, render delay, maybe image mask blend. Okay, here we have opacity, but it's so not good. There we go. And it didn't work. I'm trying to do it, but yeah, opacity is not doable. Make some lines around it. You guys got the lines. You guys got the lines. Got the lines to an extent. You see the corners? See this, like, this is the corner. This right here is the corner. And for example, up here would be the other corner, okay? Right here. See? This is the corner. There you go. Don't fuck outside of the corner. See? There you go. Good job. This is the corner. This is the corner. This is the corner. This is the corner. Yo, paint it. We have a corner. We have the corner. We have the top corners. We have the bottom corners. Now it's new fuckers to draw the motherfucker. Thank you, Gabriel. Hugo, if you fail at art, please do not start the Fourth Reich. It's you guys failing, not me. I'm kidding. This is so much fun. Can we give him inflated balls? You can give him whatever you want, my friend. You're not doing all too well, but it's okay. Black outline around the corners would be cool. It would be, but let's first try and actually make the guy. I'll put the corners. That's the only thing I can actually do. Can we give him a sick Marx beard? You guys can't even paint a single part of him. You're debating what fucking outfits and aesthetic categories to give him as well. You're so cute. So cutie. Wait, let me try again. Filters and then apply LUT. I don't know why is it this fucking weird. Luma key management. No, this doesn't do much. Okay. Opacity, is that better? There you go. Can you see? We genuinely need some opacity for the sanity of the chat. There you go. Whoopa. Whoopa. You see? You see? There you go. This should be good, right? This should be good. Hey! Woo! Also, can we get some music? Oh, do you want me to suck your... Okay. There we go. Let's give you some music. No, not this. This is not the vibe. The vibe is this. It's supposed to motivate you. So it's got a bit of a push. I'm gonna go take a piss. I'll be back. Continue your good work. So, how are we doing? Oh my god, there's actually a lot of progress. What a snack. Not bad at all. I'm so proud of you fuckers. Here, have a snack. Some pastry shit. Let's go, guys. If you painted, you got 10 gift subs from me. Oh. Ooh, gross. This thing is fucked up. Jesus. Check out Gaza, I will, but if I move the screen from this right now, it's gonna be a massive fuck up. I just painted the border. Fuck yeah, thank you. Legend. We already got the head, majority of the head. It's very good. Very good. I can't ask for more. We got the glasses outlined a little bit. This is Gaza. Damn. That's crazy. There's even a Gaza Superman. Keep painting, worker bees. Don't make me bring out the slavers. Hi, Hugo. Hi, Chatter. We're painting it in Chattanooga. If you need help finding it, you're going to Chattanooga, which is in Tennessee. You look for the said Wojak and the bug, and you will find us. Well, I was born and raised in Chattanooga. Hell yeah, brother. That is the host nation, the Chattanooga Republic of the program. Okay, we got some glasses going. The inside of the glass is kind of pink. Sister, you sister. Sorry, sister. This chat is proudly minority men. We're getting there. We're getting there. Some of you have gotten the skin tone. Well, I feel like the skin tone is kind of like beige-ish. It needs to contrast to the gold. Careful with the chin. Yeah, somebody's fixing it, going up properly. Good. When it's done, we'll have to fine-tune it too. It won't be perfect. Of course, now we're building the general scope. He's gonna look like he's been dropped a few times on the head when he was a baby. Still trying to figure out what you all are doing exactly. There's this game where you can draw on the map of the planet. So, but keep in mind that the laser is green. Laser's green. See? It's very green. And it goes past his the top hair. See it? This is you guys now. This is where you gotta go. Let me also have a non-pixelated one. Up here, so that you guys can view it and see what it needs to look like in the end. There you go. Hope that helps. Oh, sorry, boss. No, you're fine. It's actually fantastic. This is the pic from you with some old comic book that's long abandoned that JT found when we were starting. We obviously edited it and made it into our own. I don't fucking know. It was very random. But it stuck. Call it commie specs. Commie glasses or whatever. Yeah, unfortunately there's not a great story around it. It's just what happened. And then it stuck. So between the Hitori and the little beige crying man is where I grew up. Wow! And we just randomly zoomed in on this. That's fucking legendary. Such a small world, isn't it? This must be very freaky for you, Bytes. Very freaky. Like, what the fuck? Why are these motherfuckers drawing a deprogram logo on top of our fucking house? Yeah, this is insane. Yeah, I would honestly really be freaking out if I was you. Like, really, really freaking out. Get doxxed. They no longer live there. Born. The deprogram guy looks slightly sad. His glasses look slightly curved up. Here you go. Let me help you. Look at the screen now. This is actually, you're doing really well. I am shook. The green is a little bit too neon, but I'm shook by how well you're doing. How do I help without fucking it up? Which pink are we using up there? Using beige for the skin, right? Let me help with the skin. Oh. This is so relaxing. There we go. We want the bow tie to be pink, right? Or light pink. You guys are going with light pink? And I'll frame up the bow tie, I guess. I'm gonna get rid of these black spots here. Okay. And now you can paint the bow tie on top of this. And then color out the pink, which is not inside of the bow tie. Another one of the greatest blues singers of all time was born in Chattanooga, Bessie Smith. Bessie Smith, really, from Chattanooga? That's sick. I can't change the song though, because I'm gonna go off screen and it's gonna fuck up these psychos. They're gonna mess up big time. Here, I'm giving you back your guy. Should I increase opacity slightly so that you can see more? See, max opacity. See? I'm gonna start increasing opacity a little bit so I have better comprehension of exactly what it is. I'll remove it, we put it. Guys, you're really good. You're unironically really good. I'm a little bit shook. A little bit shook. Let me help you paint all of that green shit. Which green do you use though? Light green or green? Which green are we using? Which green are we using, chat? Dark green, green, or light green? Seems like you fuckers are using light green for majority. So, let me help in between. Oh, damn, somebody put a lot of green in there. There we go. Leave space for the rays of sunshine. There you go. We're getting there. I have no idea how you're gonna do the mouth. The mouth is going to be so difficult. The mouth is gonna be so hard. Zooming in would help us, but I know you would need help with the overlay. That's okay. I'm not that everybody stop working. We're zooming in. Wait, what the fuck? There we go. We're zooming in. Zooming in. And now we are readjusting the overlay. No, not that one. Readjusting the overlay. There you go. Doesn't have to be the same. And now I'm going to filter up the opacity so that you see how well you're doing. Thank you, Emo Snail. Thank you very much. I believe he needs to be a little bit smaller. My example guy. There we go. Let's see. Opacity again. He needs to be a little bit lower. And there we go. That should be it. Yep. Pretty on point, I think. He's a little bit bigger, but you'll handle that. There you go. Fantastic. You happy? You happy? Did I do it okay? Okay, this helps Pog. Yay! Yo, my kitty says hi. Say hi to the kitty. Don't size him to the border. I'm just sizing him to how you guys painted him, you see? Sizing him to how you guys painted him. Trying to make it as much as closest to... Yeah, I'm sizing to how you painted him. No worries, my friend. Opacity, yeah. Yeah, it won't get closer to you guys than this. There you go. Yeah, so the top layer, very good. The top layers of the eyes are covered, if you want to call it that. There, look at the big picture. There you go. Don't try to write commie specs. That's going to be impossible. Just take care of the upper eye. It's kind of coming together. The mouth is the concerning concept. It's a very concerning part. I have no idea how we're gonna do that one. No. Let me help you with the pink. Just pink. Okay. The bottom one is a little bit fucked up. Let's do it like this. I need to remove this one. This one needs to be removed. Get rid of that one. Put a pink dot around where my childhood home was. That's my contribution. Legendary. His name is Katimir Lenin. He's a true revolutionary. Oh my god, you actually called your cat Katimir Lenin. That is so adorable. The art we chose super randomly. Getting there-ish. We need the top. Okay, so the pink is good. I would put a black dot right here. And one right here. Make the glasses proper glasses. As well as here. Frame up the glasses. Very good. Now the same on the other guy. Let's put the lid on him. By the other guy, I mean the other glasses. Let's also frame them properly. Very good, very good. Okay, second glass now, chat. Oh, bravo! Bravissimo, whoever did that. I guess we need a nose. The nose is gonna be black. Got a black nose. I have no idea how to do the nose. His nose goes up to the nook, but let's not actually copy it completely. Just give him a nose like this. I'll just move it to the left and you're fine. Like the nose can just be like a upside down T. Let's contribute to the skin. Love how somebody did the red to symbolize the tongue. Was JT's BBL surgery successful? Yes, it was. It's real stinky now. According to my very brief search, the original image is from a vintage magazine selling X-ray specs. Yeah, something like that. JT just found it randomly on the internet, and we nationalized it. You're doing really, really good. You're doing really, really good. I just really think the neon is very, well, neon. But it's okay. It still works. Now the hard part, the mouth. I wish good luck to whoever can do the mouth. Figured this is worth mentioning given that we're doing pixel art collectively here. Absolutely. Pixel art software Sprite is open source and can be acquired for free if one compiles it themselves. That's very cool. I have fun painting and making my hometown beautiful, y'all. I'm headed over to the Georgia Report for some news. I'll probably be back after a bit. Have fun, my friend. We'll paint your town orange. This is so cool. Let me help you guys again. Look at your Twitch screen. Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Except the mouth. The mouth is a bit demonic. The mouth is a bit fucking strange. Oh shit, no. There we go, we're getting there. Would you like to do the program painting somewhere in the Balkans too, maybe? Why not? Why not? If you make one, definitely hit me up. Shove it in the middle of, I don't know, Belgrade or something. That would be cool. Or in Sarajevo. Somebody's fucking with the nose. Somebody's fucking with the mouth again. There are great disagreements on the mouth. Civil war has started on the mouth. Now he just looks like he's drooling. Now he's literally just drooling. Oh, hello, welcome to the program. Today we're gonna talk about I don't know what. Ah, now the mouth is really good. The mouth is great now. Good job, chatter. The mouth is really good now. I think this on top might be unnecessary. With the black up there, you think so? I mean, go for it. It just looks like he's a cat now. More mouth civil wars. Now somebody else is doing something else to it. Oh. When will the program cater to the cat girl market? What did he do? We got JT as a co-host. Oh, and we got the deprogram on top. Hell yeah, brother. We got Hi Hugo right here. Hell yeah, brother. So good. Okay, what should I assist with? Framing out the mouth? Or... Swear, if we come back and somebody drew on top of this, massive cunt behavior. It's very good. It's basically the same. Obviously, more details are going to be touched upon for you guys in your free time, but it looks pretty good. Pretty good. Why the Chattanooga, though? Because of a very niche joke that turned it into the home of the deprogram from back in the day. Hakeem was basically making fun of the name. He was like, what the helly? And I was like, it basically sounds like a slur. Then it turns out it's like an old native name, and we were like, fuck, we're getting murdered for this one. We got 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes, chat. 2 more minutes. And I'm going to have to call it quits for this lovely day. But that doesn't mean you guys can't continue drawing this random guy with specs on it. It has no correlation with the podcast whatsoever. Man, I remember the very first episode, the People's Republic of Chattanooga. We got an OG in here. Speaking of OGs, I promise that if you guys make it nice, I'm very satisfied, by the way. I'm very satisfied. Okay. That you will receive. Jesus, it's so fucking expensive. There you go. 10 gift subs. Thank you for your service, chatters. Thank you for your service. Is it a sink next to me? Where on the thing? What do you mean IRL? It's not a sink. What the fuck? Where the fuck do you see a sink? Looks good when you zoom out. Okay, I'm ending it. Let's see now when we zoom out. Oh hell yeah, it looks sick, bro. Looks really good. It looks really good. Looks so good. It looks so fucking good. Next to the microphone, is that another sink? Where is there a sink? Dude, that is sick as fuck. I'm gonna send it to the boys from the deep program, actually. Let me see if they're online. Notice anything? We drew it with chat. I'll tell you what the two of them say. So you get your taps on the back, not only from Ankh Hugo, but from everyone else. What's up, Rainwater? Thank you very much, my friend. You're very welcome here. There you go. Somebody's even painting the deprogram. Absolutely gorgeous, chat. Bows down. Bows down. Bows down. No fucking joke, dude. You guys are sick as fucking hell. Before we depart, though, you guys keep working on it. Don't worry. Before we depart, I saw this tweet. It's been 2 weeks since Aaron now expressed his frustration trying to get other streamers to consistently talk about the Tamil genocide and mass grave discoveries. This is the pain of watching the genocide of your people be ignored over and over again. That's the poison of the content mill, man. If something doesn't make numbers go up in the content mill, then people don't necessarily cover it. There's whole conversations we can have about probably half of the coverage of Palestine being because people want to make money and not necessarily because they care. Though who gives a fuck if it's for money or not? It's still putting eyes on Palestine. But unfortunately, some other atrocities get ignored in the wider dustbin of conversations. So everyone, please, Aaron and now, check them out so that you can be updated on the developing situation with the Tamil genocide, all the bodies that are being discovered, and so on. I strongly suggest it. I platformed him twice. Watched his great documentaries as well. But that doesn't mean that you guys shouldn't go and get more into detail with him and so on. I don't know why it's so difficult for other streamers, some much larger than me, from just having the guy on for 2-3 hours, exposing this conversation to tens of thousands of their listeners or thousands of their listeners and so on. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever at all. It would literally just be like 2 hours out of their day, 3 hours out of their day, but they would open the eyes of, again, thousands upon thousands of people on this incredibly tragic spin of events. So it's it sucks because that happens to be the name of the game. Streaming itself, and not just streaming, but content in general, is so consciously and subconsciously commodified that when somebody reaches out with something that is extremely, extremely important, at least I feel like, I don't think I do that, but for most people, it's they immediately look at it from the lens of whether it's going to pop off or not to talk about that particular issue. So it gets, at some point, it's, makes more sense for you to bring on an ice cream company CEO than to bring on a comrade that asked 500 times to come on and talk about this particular topic, right? And so on and so on. Slavo is really collect to say. So I don't know, please check it out. Very nice, very good. Now I am fucking out of here. Love you. That was sick. Wait, let me just see it one more time. That was sick as shit. That was sick as shit. Sick as fuck. Sick as hell. Keep working on it. I will check tomorrow. And if somebody has painted over it, I will not forgive you for 1,000 millennia. Okay? Babushka Yugo. Spin immediately. Many kisses, chat. Have a great night. Thank you for the slightly scurried the program, glasses guy, but beyond grateful for it. Fucking shit was. This is in Chattanooga, my friend. This is in the Noog. This is in the Nooga. In the Chattanooga. I'm gonna send you to a smaller creator that is very based. Zakip. Go give them a time of your day. Go give them a follow, please. Check out what they do. I think Zakip is very, 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 very cool. Say hi from me. And enjoy the rest of your day. Today we tried to do a Eurasia stream. I don't know if we'll do Eurasia stream ever again. Because obviously the sub goal talks for itself. That does not mean we didn't have a grand old time. It was sick as fuck. It was very fun, especially this thing. I'll see you tomorrow. Anyways. Yas.